All right, folks, I'm going to start the stream right now because I don't know when Trump's going to come out. He's usually late, but, you know, don't want to, like, get caught lacking like that. So, yeah. All right, folks, I know it's been a while, okay? Everyone's been asking, where's the stream? Why don't you stream? Well, as you guys know, I had a very busy month of April, but I was waiting for the perfect return stream. You know, I don't want to just stream, hey, let's talk about the news. Like, we need something to piggyback off of, you know what I'm saying? And I think we got the perfect opportunity because Donald Trump iconically doing a rally in the South Bronx in the middle of New York City, not exactly Manhattan from my New York geography, but I think that one is coming soon too, from what I've heard. So it'll be fun. We're going to react to it live. Let's do it. Stay tuned. You know, it really does feel like we have not done this in forever, which is largely true because the last time we streamed was on Super Tuesday, which I checked is over 2 months ago. So that is terrible. All right, that is honestly not a good look for me, for yours truly here. But welcome everyone back to the live streams. I am going to try to get it to where maybe we can from now on do this about once or so a month. But it looks like Donald Trump is coming out now, so I will shut up and we'll have as usual when we do these, we'll have a party. We'll talk about it later on. Or no, is that just Byron Donalds? Do you guys want to hear Byron Donalds? I'm just gonna keep talking. If there's protests in the chat, then because look, we haven't been live in a while. Oh wait, no, that is him, right? I'm not just being racist. That's someone. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Like I said, it's been a while. I'm gonna try to do these streams about once a week or so. But yeah, okay. But anyways, be sure to leave a like on the video right now. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Leave a super chat. You know the normal things. We will read the super chats periodically. If you want to send in any right now, feel free to. I know we haven't talked in quite some time here. But all right. So scheduled today at 6 p.m. Donald Trump is supposed to be doing a rally in the South Bronx of New York. I have been calling for this for a while. I actually did a whole video on it a couple of weeks ago because to me, you know, a lot of people say, why do a rally in New York? He did one in New Jersey the other night, and they said, why is he doing a rally in New Jersey? You're not going to win the state. It's a waste of time. To which I say, truly, it is about sending a message. And by the way, what else are you going to do? What else are you going to do? Because you're stuck in New York right now for this bogus criminal trial. We know about that. We've talked about that. So why not at least use it as some type of campaign opportunity? But let me also say this. I actually gave a speech about this when I went back home to California earlier this year. I've been trying to get the video, so maybe if I can, I'll actually post the speech at some point. But what I essentially said is that also, there is something about the message that it sends when you're in a deep blue area like this, but especially, right, when you are facing this bogus trial from the New York people, from the establishment there, from the Democrats. First of all, it's kind of a kick in the face to them. Absolutely. Sorry, guys, I'm sorry. I gotta turn this off, okay? This is just too distracting on the screen trying to talk. Okay, it truly does send a message in that regard. And imagine the show of defiance it really is when you stand there unfazed in the middle of all this nonsense, in the middle of all this persecution, and you're going to do a rally right in the middle of their territory, their city. Now, for the record, I think he should go all the way. He should absolutely do one in, you know, the dead heart, perhaps, of Manhattan, but still, this is a start. First, he went to New Jersey. Now you're inching closer to New York City, South Bronx. Now you're going to do Manhattan again eventually. But not only is it an inspirational show of defiance, and not only is it important for that reason, just to send a message, but also, I will say this, it does get a ton of media attention. And this is what is kind of dated about the whole argument that you should only do your rallies in swing states. For grassroots, for on the ground purposes, that's absolutely true. However, let's be honest. He's been doing rallies in, let's say, Pennsylvania for years now. I'm not saying he shouldn't stop doing them. Obviously, he's trying to win the state of Pennsylvania in the election, but does it get the same buzz? Is it as exciting anymore? No, it's not. But when you do something bold, when you do something unconventional, like a rally in New Jersey, like a rally in New York, I'm told he's going to Virginia very soon. Heck, do one in California if you want, up to him. But that sends something different. And by the way, it's unique. It spices things up. I can guarantee you this, the rally in New Jersey and the rally here in New York, I don't know how many TV networks are covering it live, but I guarantee you it's a lot more than the normal rallies are nowadays, right? So that's the other aspect of this. It is flashy, it is bold, it is different. And look, I'm not here to say that we're going to win New York or something like that. At the same time, I might not say that it's a completely zero chance, maybe 5%, maybe 10%, something like that. But look, I'm just saying, I don't give it a 0% chance. I say it's very unlikely, but the idea that he could come kind of close, it is definitely possible. Maybe, under 10 points, something like that. Still, regardless, I'm not saying to put your effort into that. But what I am saying is that, there's a lot of conservatives across this country stuck in blue states. That's a reality. Look at the crowd out here tonight. Okay, we're getting reports it's somewhere from 25,000 to 30,000 people. Hey, New York is a big state. So is California. These places have Republicans in them. In many ways, they are demoralized. In many ways, they have given up the fight. That's not the mindset you want to have people trapped in. And by the way, if you can shake them out of that, and this is something I said when I was speaking in California a couple months ago, I said, there is something about when conservatives in, say, red states or swing states, when we see people defiantly stand up in the dead heart of the blue states and say, we're done with this, we're protesting, we're loud, we're not going to back down, there is something motivational about that, is there not? There is something about that message that says, okay, if they can do it, then what's my excuse, right? If these people in New York, a state that has been considered lost to Republicans for several generations now, if these people can get out and do this and have this show of defiance, what's my excuse as a right-leaning person or a Trump-supporting person in, say, Michigan or Ohio, or I guess Ohio is not a swing state anymore, but the point, to not go out and vote or not get involved in the campaign. So that's the many layers of reasons why I say this is a genius political move for Trump. It's a great look. And again, even if he doesn't win the state in November, what is the message that it sends? That you drew a crowd in their state that's way bigger than Kathy Hochul would ever get, that Eric Adams, that Alvin Bragg, Letitia James, Andrew Cuomo before him. None of them would have gotten support like this, as you can clearly see on your screen right now. And so it truly is an optics victory. And I think when you look at the different ways that Trump's been winning on the optics across the 2024 campaign, you look at the photo stops. And that's true. They are sort of photo ops of campaign stops, I should say, right? Chick-fil-A in Atlanta, the bodega in New York, people can say this or that about them, but they are great optics. That's truly what they are. The union workers showing up now, even this right here. So, I think it's genius. I will reiterate that. There's also a Trump Muppet on the screen. That is incredibly interesting. I've never seen anything like that in my life. Wondering where we can buy one, though. But yeah, okay, with that said, folks, we are now awaiting Donald Trump. That's about all I had to say in the opening. So let's see if anything is going on in the live chat. But yeah, folks, be sure to leave a like on the stream. We got about 50 likes so far. Hey, that's not bad. That's not bad for not having streamed here in over 2 months. Now we're at 51. Let's get this stream to 100 likes. If you have thoughts, feel free to send them in or support the channel via the super chats. And let's see what you guys are saying. Okay, here's an interesting one. I saw this one when I was about to start the stream, and I felt obligated as a person who is literally Vietnamese and Italian to answer this question here. Okay, so Rags 15061 says, "Hey Vinny, I'm Italian from Pittsburgh. I've been talking to a girl from Vietnam. She wants to come over stateside. Is this a good idea? You're Italian and Vietnamese. Who better to ask?" That's a great question. I am indeed Italian and Vietnamese, and that is very funny because you know, if you guys had kids, you would make mini-me's. But anyways, I mean, I would say, look, you know, there's things about Asian women, I guess, that, you know, some people take getting used to and all that. But, you know, I would say if you have the money, if you can afford it, whatever, you know, at least bring her out, right? Tourist visa, she can come visit. You guys can meet each other. I would recommend don't do the 90-day fiance crap where you like, oh, you know, let me fly you out on a fake tourist visa and then let's get married and so she can get citizenship and stay. Don't do that. But, you know, if you think you like this girl, you think you can afford to bring her out, I don't see the issue with, you know, meeting her. Or if you want to go visit there sometime, I mean, it might be a little easier immigration wise, like getting your passport over there than over here. I mean, you know, give it a shot. If you're cool with having Asian kids, I don't know, you know, but, you know, so yeah. But that, anyways, I had to answer that because I thought that was pretty funny. That is not the story of how my mom and dad met. My mom lived in this country since she was a kid, but I found that to be pretty funny. That was a pretty funny comment. I had to say that. Okay. Anyways, again, we are awaiting Donald Trump in the South Bronx here of New York City. Who is saying 627-24? What is that? I don't remember which one that is. Or are you talking about something else? I don't even know. I don't even know. But anyways, because we have this thing on my channel where every time I have technical issues, they name it a date, like 7/14. I don't even remember the other ones. It's been so long, but I didn't know if that's what you were doing or you're talking about something else. But anyways, Saga for $2, thank you very much, says, "Did you see that Reed came out and defended Butker?" That's how you say his name, right? Harrison Butker. I did. You know, Andy Reid, from everything I've heard, is actually kind of a closet Republican, so, you know, good for him. What I was really surprised and I'll say impressed by is that Patrick Mahomes actually came out and defended him, his teammate. Which I guess, yeah, it's his teammate. But I gotta say, as someone who's not a big Patrick Mahomes fan, who really thinks he's a diva, finds him to be kind of annoying, you know, the wannabe next Tom Brady or whatever, I gained a lot of respect from Patrick for, you know, basically going out and saying he's entitled to his own opinion. I support him as a teammate, this and that, you know. I was genuinely, maybe we shouldn't give people such low standards, but from someone like Patrick Mahomes, I was impressed by that. So, you know, that's obviously true. Andy Reid obviously defending him. It's good to see. In many ways, I mean, I support what Harrison said in that speech, but on top of that, the overreaction to it was just so ridiculous, okay? And I even heard a lot of people in the middle, to tell you the truth, because I, you know, have friends, family, I guess, whatever you want to say, who said, look, I don't agree with Harrison, but why are they overreacting to it so much? Why is this such a big deal, right? He was at a Catholic university giving a speech on Catholic doctrine, and yeah, the left is mad about it, the media is mad. Was it necessary for the city of Kansas City and the NFL itself to comment on it? No, it really wasn't. It was so overblown, it was so ridiculous. I think a lot of normal people looked at it and said, what's the big deal? I mean, even if they disagree with him, they're like, what is the big deal? He was giving this speech. Why do we need to make a huge scene out of it? But, you know, it is the baby hating, God hating, everything, world hating liberals, leftists. What can we say? Okay. Anyways, I was going to do the little Streamlabby thingy, but, it's not working. Okay. Just imagine I did your super chat animation, man. Oh, wait, here we go. Here we go. Okay, there we go. Yeah, thank you for the $2 though, Saga. And, you know, It's good to see. Also good to see, I will say this too, I don't know if you guys have noticed this in the past couple years, but I feel like a lot of people maybe in the middle or like the silent majority of the conservatives are now more willing to speak their mind than they were before. Like, I think back to maybe 2019, would his teammates have maybe defended him in that way, or maybe have he faced like cancel culture or something? I actually think in many ways, over these past couple years, the backs of cancel culture have been broken, not to the degree to which it doesn't exist, but just to the degree that it's not nearly, in my opinion, as powerful as it used to be, right? And I see a lot more people now just there. I don't know if you guys even notice this in your personal life. People just have much less of a filter now. They're more willing to say what they believe, and they're not so freaking scared. And hey, you know, as someone, I'm not going to claim the credit, but I guess all of us collectively, for the most part, I assume, as the people who were the trailblazers of this back when Trump was president, or some of you maybe even before Trump was president. I was honestly a little young back then, but whatever. You know, we sort of set that into motion. And so I think, you know, it's rare to say conservatives these days have true cultural victories, but I think, to me, that is a identifiable conservative cultural victory, even if we can't put a thumb on what exactly it is. I just noticed that generally people are more open about like speaking out now. You know, the normal people, or even just certain celebrities, you know, there's just less of a culture of fear than there was back then. And I guess that's the first step. So, you know, you love to see that. Okay, Rigor for $5. Thank you very much. And apparently you can like the super chats now. I did not even know that, but sends me $5. Thank you very much, Rigor. I appreciate the 5, and that is his third super chat ever, or first? I don't know. It just says 3, but there's a balloon on it. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate it very much, Rigor. LL dude says, I effing love you. American flag. Thank you very much, LL. Trying to hold on. Let me tune into the audio, make sure. All right, the theme music is not playing yet. See, that's the thing, is we have to mute the music for copyright purposes on YouTube. So every time that Trump comes out, I don't notice till he's on the stage. So I always use the theme music as a cue, because once the theme music starts playing, he's like a WWE superstar. So, you know, we're awaiting that. Okay. Anyways, by the way, guys, the RNC, it's crazy to think how fast this came around. It feels like just yesterday it was 2022 and we were talking about the disaster results of the midterms or whatever. But the election, folks, is just 6 months away, less than 6 months away. That's crazy, okay? So the RNC is, I believe, sometime in July, I think around mid-July. Stay tuned here. I will likely be live streaming that. We'll watch it live. We'll do the watch party just like this. A lot of people say, why don't you go to the RNC, or why don't you attend? I say, okay, first of all, I don't even know if I got an invite, to tell you the truth. But on top of that, more importantly, look, we could just watch it and you could watch it on TV, or we could watch it here on the channel. So I say, you know, business decision, you know, from a professional perspective, we would get more eyeballs if we streamed it here. So we're going to stream it here, react to it live, do like a day cast the way, you know, the news networks do. Might not be as professional, but, you know, we do what we can. And we will, of course, do the same thing for the DNC, which is in August or something like that traditionally. I don't know the exact date there. So stay tuned for that. That'll be very exciting. Presidential debates coming up. 627. Okay, that's the Joe Biden-Trump debate. Sorry, my bad. I was wondering what's this guy saying 627 for. So we will hopefully be live for that. I am a little concerned this year about these presidential debates, because normally, and by the way, here's another thing I think I forgot to point out when I was talking about them, is normally they are owned by the Presidential Debate Commission. And so if you look back historically, every network streams the presidential debates because they're basically like public domain, right? So C-SPAN has them, and then, you know, the networks have them, and you can watch it anywhere. And so there never used to be copyright issues watching a presidential debate live. However, now that it's on CNN, now that it's on networks, and it's privately owned by them, and it's not the public, you know, domain of the debate commission, I don't know if we can do that. I don't know if we'll get copyrighted playing the clips for too long or whatever, which arguably, you know, you want to talk about why won't Biden do the normal commission debates? that might be another reason, right? Because if they're owned, if they're the intellectual properties of the networks, then, YouTubers, for instance, can't just play the clips for too long without fair use or commentary and just everyone's able to watch them. No, it's going to be restricted. And you know how that's sometimes going to go, right? Where anyone who tries to post the full debate on YouTube will get copyrighted. So no one can watch it unless it's behind the CNN paywall or the ABC paywall or even the Fox paywall, because I ran into that problem with that network too all the freaking time. In my opinion, that's not how presidential debates should be, right? And I understand intellectual property. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you should be able to just steal from the networks, but I would say something like this, which RSBN is fine about it, so props to them. But, something like this, a presidential campaign rally, a presidential debate, in my opinion, those things are in the public interest, right? And so I don't think those should be copyrighted or any restrictions on posting them or using them, because they're related to the presidential campaign and, the public's decision to vote. But, something to point out there, because I just am worried about that. But we will try to live stream the CNN Joe Biden Trump debate on the 27th if we can. Okay, with that said, folks, everyone be sure to leave a like on the stream right now. We are 3 likes away from 100 likes, so be sure to do that. Feel free to super chat the show with your thoughts or support if you feel free to. And we await now Donald Trump. And there is a Orthodox Jewish man on the broadcast right now. So that's where we are at the current moment. It is 6:21 p.m. Donald Trump is running on New Yorker time. I don't know. Actually, is that even a stereotype? I feel like New Yorkers are more on time than most people, but whatever. But yeah, okay, let's keep reading though the live chat, see what else is going on here. So Biden can't debate anymore, though. So what debate? Yeah, we'll have to see what happens on that front. I mean, I know for a fact they're going to give Biden the Adderall for sure, and just hope he makes it through. Here's the problem, though. If he's too over-animated, yeah, he won't seem senile, but everyone's going to think what the conservatives have been thinking all along, which is the guy's obviously on drugs, because this is not the normal Biden we see. So I don't think there's really a winning situation for Biden's perspective to debate unless, Donald Trump, he comes off as, too aggressive, or the independent voters or the woman or whatever don't like his demeanor. And so that's one pointer I would give to Trump, is be more like the second debate in 2020, not the first debate, because people thought he was too aggressive, too mean, whatever. Just kind of sit there, in my opinion. This, honestly, I think is the best campaign strategy for Trump this time around, is people already know him. He's a known entity. All he really has to do is sit there, let the Biden campaign collapse on itself, let Joe Biden himself implode and the country implode around him, and kind of just sit there figuratively smoking a cigar. I know he doesn't, but just kind of metaphorically here, and just say like, yeah, I told you so. That's a perfect campaign pitch, truly, this time around, and I would say that in the debate as well, which is, stick on the substance, stuff like that. The numbers, the facts are not on Joe Biden's side remotely in terms of the country around him. And so he doesn't have to get too aggressive. He doesn't really have to try to do too much in the debate. Let Joe Biden look bad. Let Joe Biden's senility be the main conclusion. Say what he needs to say. And, you just kind of take it like that. You win the debate for sure. So, but that'll be interesting to watch. Absolutely. Anyways, let's see what else is going on. There needs to be more than 2 debates. Well, I've been saying that, but you know how it's gonna go. Joe Biden is using this as a pretense so he doesn't have to debate. And then even beyond Joe Biden, I would say it's concerning, because we've done these 3 televised debates for how long now? It's been forever, right? Back to the 80s, the 70s, all that. And so now, if we don't have to go through the commission, which I'm not a big fan of the commission, but at least it's an institution there that has been guaranteed, hey, they are going to do presidential debates. Because now, if there's no commission and you don't have to do 3 debates, then this is certainly a pretext so that people just can skip debating altogether, and that's certainly true. Anyways, folks, I think Donald Trump, judging by everyone's phone in the air from the broadcast here, I'm pretty sure Donald Trump is now making his entrance in the South Bronx of New York. So we will turn on the audio as soon as the copyrighted music stops playing. But yeah, okay, he's finally here. Let's go. So we await. While we do that, though, be sure to leave a like on the stream if you want a super chat. I'll put it on the screen, and then I'll read them after, so feel free to. And here is the Orange Man himself emerging. The King of New York. The Son of New York. Here we go. So, let me see if the music's still playing. All right, the music's still playing, so I will wait. But, interesting venue, too. Is this like in a... I didn't know they had open grass like this in New York, okay? Every time I've been to New York, why is it lagging? Besides Central Park, all I've seen is basically, like, concrete. So I didn't know they had a field this big. I'm surprised it's not in a stadium or something, but okay. What does this sign mean right here? XRP is not a security. All right, that's interesting. I've never... I don't know what that means, but okay. All right, folks, we await Donald Trump. Be sure to leave a like on the stream. 121 likes. Okay. Let's see if the music is off. Music's still going. Sorry, I can't unmute to the copyrighted music ends, so the awkward waiting. We're just staring at him as he looks out at the crowd. Very Trump. Looking very healthy, by the way. Everyone keeps trying to say, oh, he's aging too, you know, Joe Biden, he's just as old as Biden. The guy seems to be aging in reverse, to tell you the truth. You know, he's losing weight. He's looking healthy, unlike his opponent. It's very true. Okay. All right. Let's see. It's almost done. Okay, music is almost done. But yeah, let's see what people are saying here in the live chat. Yes, Trump Gabbard. I actually think Tulsi Gabbard's an interesting VP pick. I'll tell you why in a bit, but yeah, he's also speaking at the Libertarian Party, I guess, on May 25th. Is that this Saturday? I think I'm going to be out of town this Saturday. Let me see. But that'll be interesting to listen to as well. All right, let's see. Here we go.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you very much. This is some turnout. This is some turnout. And I want to thank New York's finest. They just brought a lot of additions. So we have people, thousands of people outside that can't even get in, but they'll get in eventually. We appreciate it. New York's finest. Hello, New York City, and hello to all of the incredible, tough, strong, hardworking American patriots right here in the Bronx. Who would think? Who would think? I'm thrilled to be back in the city I grew up in, the city I spent my life in, the city I helped build, and the city that we all love, New York City.
It's true. He did build it.
I'm here tonight to declare that we are going to turn New York City around, and we are going to turn it around very, very quickly. We're going to bring safety back to our streets. We're going to bring success back to our schools. We're going to bring prosperity back to every neighborhood and every borough of the greatest city in our land. We're going to reduce taxes. We're going to bring businesses and big taxpayers back to New York. Got to bring them back. Got to bring them back.
The optimism, that's what we need.
Bigger, better, and more beautiful than ever before. And that includes right here in the Bronx. And it's going to be done and funded starting on January 20th, directly from our great and beautiful White House. Is that okay? For my whole life, I always thought that this city is a monumental testament to the power of the American spirit and the American dream. When New York started as a small, rugged Dutch trading post near the tip of Manhattan in 1624, what you see around you is nothing more than wilderness and marsh. But by the muscle and backbone and genius of the people of New York, we built the city into the towering forest of iron, aluminum, concrete, and steel. We made this city and state into the capital of global commerce. We turned our hometown into the bustling center of a confident, glamorous American culture, and we inspired the entire world. We inspired the world. No matter where you went on this planet, everyone knew that when you said, "I'm a New Yorker," it meant you had smarts, you had grit, you had energy, and above all else,
very
you
high
had
energy
heart.
speech.
You had heart, big, big, beautiful heart. Everybody wanted to be here. New York was where you came to make it big. You want to make it big, you had to be in New York. But sadly, this is now a city in decline. Throughout my life, I've seen New York through good times and bad, through boom times and crime waves, through market crashes and terrorist attacks, but I've never seen it quite like this.
Nope.
We have filthy encampments of drugged-out homeless people living in our places that we've spent so much time with children where they used to play. We have lunatics killing innocent bystanders by pushing them onto the railroad tracks for sport. Our it's a sad thing. Don't worry, it gets positive. Don't worry. It gets so positive. Remember, we're going to win. We're all winners. We're going to win so big, we're going to make it bigger and better than ever before. Remember that. So don't worry. By the time the other 6,000 or 7,000 people get in, it'll be very positive. Our subways are squalid and unsafe. The ceiling tiles are falling down, and they look worse than a third world country. The medians of our highways are crumbling. Our sidewalks are littered with garbage, bottles, and trash. But worst of all, the discarded needles from people that so desperately are in need of help. And we have mobs of migrants fighting our police officers and giving America the middle finger.
This is a great speech.
But we are not going to let this continue. We are not going to abandon our hope and our pride. This city has given us so much, and now it is time that we are going to give it back. Together, we are going to make New York City great again, and simultaneously, we are going to make America great again.
We're winning the election, all right? I'm prepared. No dooming, no blackpilling. We're back.
Thank you. I have come tonight to talk about solving problems. The simple fact is Joe Biden is not getting the job done for the Bronx. He's not getting the job done for New York, and he's not getting the job done for America. He is incompetent, ladies and gentlemen. He is
so
grossly incompetent. I will get the job done as I did for 4 years, and I will get it done fast. And remember this, if a New Yorker can't save this country, no one can. No one can. Get me the snake, please. The snake.
Oh, he's going to read the snake.
Thank you.
It's one
everybody.
of those.
What a crowd. This is something.
Dude, I'm so white-pilled right now. This is
we wanted to keep
this is
it small
amazing.
because who knew? This is like a love fest. Love fest. It's a love fest. We love you. Thank you, darling.
No, we're winning New York. I don't care. I'm so white-pilled. Let's do it. All in.
Thank you. Wow. Who said we're not going to win New York? We're going to win New York so
Real. Let's go.
You know, if we win New York, we win the whole thing. Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice? We take back our country and we'll do a job like nobody's ever done before. And what we did for 4 years was incredible, but we also learned a lot. We're going to get in there very fast with the right people, great people, people that are tested and true. Years ago, there was an ice skating rink, the Wallman rink in the middle of Central Park. You know that story? That had been under construction for more than 10 years. They couldn't get it open. It was a renovation. They couldn't get it done. Mayor Koch was at his wits' ends. They just couldn't get it finished. They couldn't get it built. They couldn't get it open. People wanted to skate before their children turned old. Almost $20 million was spent over a long period of time. It was an embarrassment to the city. Every day they'd be laying the copper pipe, and every night that same pipe would be stolen. And then they'd start all over again the next day, and it would be stolen. This went on weeks and weeks and months and months. They poured the concrete in small patches in wrong directions and at different heights. And they took their advice from a refrigerator company from Miami, where it's 95 degrees out. It was a total mess. They just didn't know what they were doing. And I saw this, and I wanted my children to be able to ice skate before they didn't care about ice skating. I looked down on the rink, and I said, what is going on? Years and years. So I volunteered, and I took over the project and did a good job. And when I took it over, I said that if it cost more than $2 million, I would pay for it, the entire amount. But it cost far less. The first thing I did was call the Montreal Canadiens hockey team in Canada. Right? Isn't that better than a refrigerator company from Miami? They didn't know what we were talking about. But the Montreal Canadiens knew, and they were really nice. I'll never forget how nice they were. And they told me that you don't want to use copper tubing and gas because the gas is very delicate and it leaks. It's very fragile. It just doesn't work. You want to use rubber hose. I said, I like that. That's a lot cheaper. Water and salt. The salt makes it so the water doesn't freeze. It's called brine. And you're going to put that under the concrete. You're going to pour the concrete over the top. It's going to be great. It's going to work. Not going to leak. It's cheaper, faster, and it works all the time. And when we opened, there were no leaks. There were no problems whatsoever. Anyway, I started the project, laid the rubber hose, mixed the water and the salt beautifully together. I was down there when they were doing it. I said, you got to do it right.
So
and
true.
Covered the
I love
entire rink
construction.
with concrete in 4. Literally, you had to see this scene. Concrete trucks operated by the Teamsters. Do we have any Teamsters here? Oh.
Brian built.
Oh, you got to make sure that O'Brien, he's a good man. He endorses Trump. I think he's going to, actually. But the Teamsters, it stretched all the way. You had trucks stretching all the way from the Wallman rink, which was, let's say, at 60th Street, all the way back to Harlem. One contiguous pour. It was a day and a half of pouring concrete. One contiguous, a giant surface. As you know, the rink was completed in just 3 months for far less than the $2 million projected. The biggest expense was actually the demolition. That is the demolishing of everything that was built so incorrectly, so badly over a 10-year period. The biggest cost was demolition, taking it all down and starting all over. We opened with a ceremony with all Olympic gold medal winners, including the great Peggy Fleming, Dorothy Hamill, Scott Hamilton, and all of the others. Every one of them was there. It was a beautiful night, beautiful weather. I'll never forget the evening. It was one of the most beautiful. My parents were there. Now they're looking down on us. They say, wow, that's my son. Can you imagine? That's my son. Can you imagine? He's being tried in a court with a crooked judge. Can you believe this?
Real.
Can you believe it? And highly conflicted judge at that. But everybody was there, and it was really something to behold. It was an incredible experience, and one of the great experiences of my life in New York. We opened it. It's been successful, and successful ever since. What a great, great experience. It was beautiful. And, you know, a lot of it's common sense. You'd like to say the Republican Party is the party of common sense. You don't go to Miami when you want to make ice. You go to Canada when you want to make ice, right? Or you could go right down the road in the Bronx
bigoted.
to Ferry Point, right? Everybody know about Ferry Point. It was another disaster, a development where the city had spent over 29 years, almost $300 million trying to develop it into a luxury golf resort, anything. They'll take anything. They were spending money. You know, trucks were going here, dumping, getting filled up, moving it here, dumping, getting filled up with the same stuff. This went on for years, back and forth, the same stuff. They were feather
Great
bedding.
illustration.
They were doing
So
lots
true.
of bad things. But really, they didn't know how to get it done. They had no idea how much money they were spending. And when asked how much they spent, they said, we just don't know. This has been going on for years, decades. They were unable to do it. And at the time, the mayor, Michael Bloomberg, said, no, it's all right. It's okay. Now, Michael Bloomberg was the mayor, and he called me. He said, I have to get this done before I finish my term. It was very important to him. He was embarrassed by it. Everybody was embarrassed. It was Mayor Koch. It went through a lot of different mayors. Almost 30 years, remember that. And he said, in all fairness, he said, I want to get this done, and you're the one that can do it. You're the only one that can do it. And I said, and I will do it. I will get it done. And we got it done before he finished his term, which was great. But there were no other bidders to my knowledge. And I took over the project, spending only my money to build it. And I called all of the contractors together. These were tough people. These were tough, hard people. Many of you are probably contractors on that site. Come to that. And I said, look, fellas, you guys have made a fortune on this thing for years and years against the city. It's time we get together and build it. Let's get it built. Let's do it right. And let's get the hell out of here. We owe it to the city. And
That's real. He built New York,
the
not
roughest,
freaking
toughest contractors in New York. They had spirit like you've never seen before. And it was magnificently designed by the great Jack Nicklaus, who told me, I don't want to make any more money. They paid me enough. Everybody get paid a fortune. Jack said, I don't want money. I just want to see it get built for the people of New York. And that's what we did. But everybody, just like Jack, they said very similar things. These guys were rough and tough, and they made a lot of money, but you'd think they'd want to make more, but they didn't. They just wanted to get it built. And in just a little more than a year, so this was going on for 30 years, including, think of it, just a magnificent thing to watch. You had to watch these people working, just the opposite of what took place for the first 29 years. But we had a magnificent world-class golf course that many of you have played now, and it's rated as one of the best public courses in the country. And then a short while later, we built a beautiful clubhouse, one of the prettiest I've seen, built it, completed. The project was absolutely beautiful. It opened to great fanfare and great success. And do you want to hear the end result, though? Should I go off teleprompter and tell you the end result?
Yes, go off teleprompter.
Biden goes off teleprompter? I don't think so.
Biden doesn't even go on teleprompter.
He's no good on teleprompter.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but okay, so I did this beautiful job. And then we had a dispute over January 6th. We had a dispute. And they said, January 6th, we want to terminate his agreement with the city. I had a long-term agreement with the city. And they sent me a notice of termination. I said, wait a minute. I just spent $25 million building it, built this magnificent clubhouse.
And now it's Section 8. Now it's Section 8 housing.
29 years. You were spending hundreds of millions of dollars. You couldn't get it done. And the neighborhood came to court totally for me. The Bronx neighborhood. It's in the Bronx. It's on the East River in the Bronx. And we went to court. The city sued to break my agreement that they had just made. And I had done such a great job for them. And it was accolades everywhere. Golf Magazine, all of the big magazines were saying, what a great job. They terminated my agreement, and I went to court. And I will tell you, I had a very good experience. We had a Supreme Court justice named Deborah James. And I have to give her credit. I didn't know her, never met her. Deborah James, a African-American woman who came to my defense. We explained it, and the city explained it. They said, we want to terminate it. They had no reason. And we said what we just said. And she looked at them, and she said, in effect, how dare you? This man came in. He put up his own money. He did an incredible job. You were building it for 29 years. How dare you ask for this to be terminated? How unfair is that? Deborah James, a great Supreme Court justice. That's all I can tell you. And we won the case. But it's not easy doing business in New York, I'll tell you. Not easy. So I just appreciated that. I had to tell that story.
We're going to win another case in New York.
As you know, then I renovated Grand Central Terminal. I built the Grand Hyatt Hotel on 42nd Street and Park Avenue. And as part of that, I renovated the beautiful Grand Central Terminal, did a really good job of that. And then I was very much responsible for the construction of the Jacob Javits Convention Center, where Hillary Clinton was going to have her big evening. That was not good. Remember? We had the glass ceiling. You know, we built glass ceiling. She said, we're going to break the glass ceiling. It didn't work out.
I don't even know what they're saying.
I'll tell you a little secret that I don't think I've ever. I hated the concept. I said we have to get on with our country. We have to win against Russia. We have to win against China, North Korea, all the different countries we're at loggerheads with. But as long as you have a smart president, you're going to win those battles. We're winning all those battles, even with the fake Russia scam, which made it harder. But you hated that. And then you see what they want to do to us, to me, to us. And they come along. And they don't mind because Joe
maybe you should have done
is
it.
The worst president in the history of our country, has no sense, doesn't know what he's doing, grossly incompetent, and our country is going to hell, but we're going to turn it around. We're going to turn it around fast. Because above all else, and I say this and I believe this on New Yorkers, you are different. You do know that.
They are.
You know that when I called for this rally, we said, let's just have a meeting. Don't call it a rally. And so many people showed up. I said, like it or not, this is a rally. This is as far as the eye can see. You have to see the lines outside. They're going for miles. But when we saw it and we saw the love, because I called up this morning, do the people like me or do they hate me? They said, they don't like you, sir. They love you. I said, oh, thank you. So I appreciate it. And I love you, too. But above all else,
Hillary in that glass ceiling, she's still stuck under.
Back there. That's amazing. That's the fake news. Yeah. You know, they'll say tonight, Donald Trump spoke to a very small crowd of people in the Bronx. It was a very hostile crowd, very hostile. They hated him very much. No, sometimes they're okay. You know, I agreed to do a debate with crooked Joe Biden on CNN with fake Tapper. And I think they'll be fair. Does anybody think they'll be fair? I might be. No. That's all right. When they said, here's your story, you can have a debate on CNN with fake Tapper as the primary host. And I said, I'll do it. Because you know what they thought is you'd say CNN and they'd say various people on the show, various anchors, and, you know, headed up by fake Tapper. And they thought I was going to reject it. I don't want to do it. Then Biden would say, I offered to debate, but he wouldn't do it. So they said, we want to have a debate. I'll take it. Well, we haven't even told you what the debate is all about. Then they said, today, they said, we'd like to set up tables so you sit down. I said, I don't want to sit down for a debate. Let's go.
Oh, yeah, so Biden can relax?
So we're not sitting
No, make
down.
him stand.
We're going to be standing up for the debate.
Yeah, make him stand.
And here's what you know. If crooked Joe Biden makes it through the debate, which I think he will, they're going to say it was one of the great debate performances in history. One of the greatest debate performances. But there they are. And we're on every network tonight. I don't know what's going on.
Hey, what did I say in the beginning? I said it.
We're on all of them, so have a lot of fun, but we're on all of them. So they understood. They understood before anyone how big this would be. And you got to see what's back there coming in. Thank you. Thank you. But
Real.
above all, New Yorkers have something called common sense, and we do have common sense. An old-fashioned American common sense is exactly what I intend to bring back to the White House, just like we had for 4 years. You know, we had 4 of the greatest years in the history of our country. We rebuilt the military, we cut taxes, the biggest tax cut in history, the biggest regulation cut in history. We defeated ISIS. We defeated ISIS, and we did it in about 1/100th the time. They said it would take 4 to 5 years. It took me like 2 months, right? Because we have an incredible military, and we're not allowed to show. They had Afghanistan, the worst pullout, the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. It's probably the reason, a piece of it, why Russia went into Ukraine. They said, these people are incompetent. We'll go in. So Russia going into Ukraine would have never happened. None of this stuff that you see would have happened. Israel would have never happened, the attack on October 7th, and you wouldn't have had inflation. As soon as I get back into the Oval Office, I am going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call your mayor and your governor, and I'm going to say, this is President Trump, and I want to come back and help. Look, you have a Democrat governor, you have a Democrat mayor, and we are going to work with them, and we're going to get this state and this city at a level that it's never seen before, frankly. I think we can do that, too. We're going to be helping them a lot, much more than anybody would expect. It doesn't matter whether they're Democrats or Republicans, because this is about our city and our country, and it's really about the people. And in this case, the people of New York City, New York State. We're going to make you very, very happy. And Biden can't do it. He doesn't know he's alive. You know, see all the stairs here? Stair, 2 of them behind me, 1 in the middle. When he's finished with his 2.5 minute, you know, do you ever watch a speech? They last for about 1.5 minutes. When he's finished with his speech, he can never find the stairs. He can never find the stairs.
True.
And when he does, it's not a pretty picture either. Thank goodness for Secret Service. They come up and they guide them off. No, this is not what we need. When you see President Xi of China, when you see Kim Jong-un of North Korea, when you see Putin, and you see all of these people, they're at the top of their game, whether you like it or not, and they can't believe that this has happened to the United States. We have lost respect all over the world. We were the most respected country in the world 4 years ago. We were respected more than our country was ever respected 4 years ago, and now we're being laughed at. We're like a joke. And that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. We're going to do whatever it takes to fix our roads, bridges, and highways. We're going to take back our parks, not just for children, but for everybody. We're going to renovate New York's subway system so it no longer looks like it hasn't been cleaned since 1932, but rather it will be the most beautiful transit system anywhere in the world.
Let's do it.
It's by far the biggest infrastructure, subway infrastructure in the world, and we're going to make it by far the biggest, and now we're going to make it by far the best. We're going to make it beautiful again. And a lot of it is topical. You know, the expensive work people don't understand because they're not in construction. It's topical work. It's topical. It's built. The expensive, the hard, the labor, the money, the big stuff is done. We're going to make it beautiful. We're going to make it good. And most importantly, we're going to let New York's finest do its job. The transit cops do their job. We're going to make it safe. Most importantly. And importantly for the people that are before me today, we are going to make life in New York affordable again. It's gotten totally out of control.
So true.
The minute crooked Joe Biden shuffles out the door, I will rapidly rebuild the greatest economy, the history of the world. Look, we had the greatest economy in history. Everybody here, where you have a small business or if you had a job, you were getting more than you ever made. And we had no inflation. True. We had no 1.4%, considered none, considered better than none, because frankly, none in its own way is a bad thing also. We had a perfect number, 1.4%. It doesn't matter whether you're black or brown or white or whatever the hell color you are, it doesn't matter. We are
I'm green.
all Americans, and we're going to pull together as Americans.
Real. So true. Sponsored by Epic Minerals. Let's go. Shout out Epic Minerals.
We all want better opportunity. I'm not just going to promise it. I'm going to deliver it, as I did just a short while ago. Think of it. You know, when I went down to Washington, I was only there 17 times. I never stayed over. I didn't know that society. And we had great people. Look at what we did with economic development, with the rebuilding of our military, with the tax cuts, we had great people. But we also had some people that I wouldn't have used if I had my choice. Yep. Now I know everybody. I know the smart ones. I know the dumb ones. I know the killers. I know the weak ones. I know them all.
True.
And you're going to see. But everyone was better off. We had the greatest economy in history. Everybody was better off under a man named President Donald J. Trump. Have you ever heard of him? Have you heard of him? We had gasoline down to $1.87 a gallon, and actually times when it was much lower than that. We had a record low poverty rate for black Americans and Hispanic Americans. We had the lowest, we had the best poverty rate in terms of the positive number ever in our history for black Americans and Hispanic Americans. We lifted 6.6 million people out of poverty. Nothing like that has ever happened in our country. And the real middle class income rose over $6,000 a year. Think of that. Under Biden, it's a disaster. Real middle class income has fallen over $2,000 a year. That's a lot. That's a difference of $8,000. Real earnings for African Americans are down 5.6%. African Americans are getting slaughtered. Hispanic Americans are getting slaughtered. And these millions and millions of people that are coming into our country, the biggest impact and the biggest negative impact is against our black population and our Hispanic population, who are losing their jobs, losing their housing, losing everything they can lose. They're the ones that are affected most by what's happening. Not only the fact that you've lost the use of your schools, your parks, and your hospitals. Joe Biden's inflation.
Official prediction, the Biden-Harris Twitter page is going to clip that out of context. Calling it. Watch. Go on Twitter in like 2 seconds. But it is true. It is true.
Speaking of the wall, so we built much more wall than we built 571 miles of wall. We had the safest border in history. We were going to put up within a period of 3 weeks. It was all built, laying there, ready to be put up, designed by the Border Patrol, who are incredible people, ICE, who are incredible people, all together. I wanted to put up concrete plank for the contractors here. They didn't want it. They had to have hardened steel. They wanted 6,000, 7,000-pound concrete. They wanted rebar in the middle. They wanted different materials, harder to cut. So we had very hard steel, very good stuff. Everything was good. We had the panel on top. It was called an anti-climb panel. We had the best wall. And it was going to be, we were going to add 200 miles of wall. It would have taken about 3 weeks. And then we had the rigged election. And you know what happened after the rigged election? They took the wall, and instead of putting it up, they sold it for 5 cents on the dollar. And I said, these people really do want to have an open border. And that's what's happened to our country. Our country has gone to hell because of it. It's gone to hell.
Yep.
But I want to thank Mexico. I want to thank, because I went to Mexico. We really have no choice. He said, send him back. There's a chance, send him back. Nobody wants to send anybody back, but you have no choice. This is not sustainable by any country, right? This is not sustainable. But we had Mexico, and we went to Mexico, and I said to the president of Mexico, good man, by the way, a very good guy, happens to be a socialist, but these are minor details. I said to him, Mr. President, we need you to give us 28,000 soldiers to guard the wall. He said, well, how much would you pay for that? I said, nothing. I'm not paying anything. You're sending them in. They're coming in caravans. You have to do it. And he smiled and he laughed. He thought it was funny. He thought it was like, you know, I was kidding. I said, no. They're coming in through Mexico. We need 28,000 soldiers, free of charge. And he said, Donald, I cannot do that. I said, here's what you do. I don't want to embarrass you, so I'm not going to negotiate with you. Send me a negotiator. Give me a top negotiator. I want to see him. And he came to the White House, a very handsome man, dressed in one of the most beautiful suits I've ever seen. In fact, I was going to ask him, who is your tailor? I'd like to buy one of those suits, but I didn't think it was appropriate to start the negotiation that way. And I said, you know that you're going to give us 28,000 soldiers, don't you? No, 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 we are not going to. We will never do that. I said, of course you're going to. 100%. He said, we're not going to. He said, no way. I said, way. You're going to give it. He said, 100%. And you're also going to have a new policy. It's called Remain in Mexico. Nobody can come into our country until they're free. And then you're going to have catch and release into Mexico. You know, we have catch and release into our country. Even if they're criminals, we catch them, we check them, we see they're a criminal, we release them, we say, come back 5 years later, you'll have a court case. Nobody ever comes back. So I said to the State Department, and a wonderful woman, but a bad negotiator, I said to the State Department, give me a top 10, give me a top 10 list. Give me a top 10 things. I said to ICE and Border Patrol, give me a top 10. They gave me a top 10 list. And a lot of it had to do with all of the horrible disease that pours through. People that have highly contagious diseases are coming into our country at levels that we've never seen before. So many other things. And they gave me a top 10 list, but they laughed. They said, sir, they'll never do. We've been trying to get this stuff for 25 years. I said, if I were a betting man, I would bet you any amount of money. You'll have it very quickly. So this man comes in. I said, we want a policy, remain in Mexico, Tijuana. Hundreds of probably the fastest growing city in the world for a period of a year. That place was loaded up with people. They weren't allowed into our country. And we had already built a lot of the wall, a tremendous amount, 571 miles. Without that, we couldn't have ever done this. And he said that we're not going to do it, sir. I said, you are going to do it. He said, we're not. I said, here's the story. I'm not going to mess around with you. I have to go. I have a very important meeting, much more important than this. I said, here's the story. You're either going to do it. It's Friday evening. Or on Monday morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, we are going to put a 25% tariff on everything that Mexico sends into our country. And then 1 month later, if you don't do it, we're going to put a 50%. Then we're going to go 75. And because I'm a nice person, we're going to stop at a 100% tariff. And here's the, and I had it literally written. I'm saying, should I sign it or not? Am I going to waste the ink or not? Because I'll sign it right now. On Monday morning at 7 o'clock, you're going to pay up to a $100 tariff. He said, sure, I'd like to make a phone call. I said, I wonder who you're going to call. Let me guess, you're going to call the president. He comes back 3 minutes later. Sir, it would be our great honor to give you 28,000 soldiers free of charge. It would be our great honor to have a policy of remain in Mexico. Anyway, and we got the
but it's not possible. You can't do that. Biden can't do anything.
And now the other day,
nonsense.
Did you see? Mexico said to crooked Joe Biden, we want $20 billion a year just for the privilege of negotiating with you. We want you to pay us. Did you see that? It was a little article. You hardly... There's a slight difference. Would you say? He would have never asked that. He would have never asked it. So he said they want 20 billion, not 20 million's a lot. They want 20 with a B, $20 billion a year just for the privilege of negotiating with Mexico. And you would never get the things that they gave up, remain in Mexico. They gave up catch and release in Mexico. They gave up everything. They gave up everything. They did. They did give up the Constitution. Joe Biden, his inflation has cost the average New York household a staggering $24,000. Think of that. Because the costs have gone up so much. Bacon,
$24,000.
I don't eat bacon anymore. It's too expensive.
I believe it too.
But it's gone up like
ridiculous.
4 times. I said, what's with bacon? But if you look at the Biden price hikes, very much caused the runaway inflation, the likes of which I don't think we've ever seen before, anything like it. And they're costing average New York families $1,000 a month just in the inflationary costs. I call it the Biden inflation tax because it's a tax. On day one, we're going to throw out Bidenomics and going to replace it with Maganomics, like your hats, Maganomics.
Real.
will give you lower
$1,000
taxes. We're going to
a
cut
month.
it still lower. Remember, when I cut taxes, I gave you the biggest tax cut in the history of our country, bigger than the Reagan tax cuts. And you know what? The following year, we reported massive increases in revenue. So with lower taxes, we actually took in more money because it gave incentive for people to work. Lots of reasons. But I will give you low taxes, low inflation, low interest rates, rising wages, growing incomes, and fair trade for the American worker. And we will make energy affordable again by saying, drill, baby, drill. Drill, baby, drill. Your energy costs will come down within the first year by 50%. That's not bad. That's a hell of a promise. And it will, too. We can drop that so quickly. Remember, it was his stupid energy policies that caused the inflation. Now, it's more than energy. Now everything's like on fire. The whole place is a mess. We will quickly return our nation to the path of prosperity, and we will bring our country back together through unparalleled success. Our country is going to be very successful, and people are going to come together. And I will tell you, a lot of people say, do you think you can ever get the sides together? And by the way, I have to say something. Our side is much bigger than their side. You see that? Much bigger. We're more quiet, much more quiet. But when we get going, we're much tougher, right? We're much tougher. But it is much bigger. But I saw it. We had the greatest economy in history, and I was getting calls from the other side. I call it the radical left. But left-leaning, to put it mildly, Democrats, can we get together? Because everybody had the best they've ever had. African-American jobs were the best in history. Asian American, the best in history. Hispanic, the best in history. Women, people with a diploma, people without a diploma, people that went to the great Wharton School of Finance, MIT, Harvard, they were doing better. And the people that didn't have a high school diploma were having the best. Everybody was better. There wasn't one group, not one, that went down. And it was bringing our country together. So it can happen. And when they ask, because I get that question a lot, do you think the sides can ever get together? And I went through the experience, and we can get together. And then we had COVID come in, and we had to fight that battle. And we did a great, I've been recognized as having created a great economy and great military, defeating ISIS and all the things. We rebuilt the entire military, created Space Force, all those things. We never got the credit, and we had no wars. Thank you, sir. That's very nice. Remember Hillary Clinton used to point at me, he will create wars. No. They said his personality will create wars. I said, no, my personality is going to keep us out of wars. And I was right. First president in 78 years that didn't start a war. We had no wars. None of these stupid wars. Such a shame. When you see all the people that died in these horrible wars in the Middle East and everything else, countries didn't want us, dropping bombs all over the place. Spent $9 trillion in the Middle East. We bombed the hell out of the place, then we leave. In the old days, to the victor belong the spoils. We don't do that. We bomb the hell out of everyone, then we come back home. It's so sick. It's so sick and so stupid. These people that led us are so stupid. You want to use that as a last resort. You can solve these problems with a meeting or with a telephone call. You don't have to drop billions of dollars worth of bombs on people's heads. You don't have to.
It's true.
It's called peace through strength. It really is. And there's no reason for it. What they did in the Middle East is so incredible. They bombed the hell out of the place, and then they left. But to the victor belong the spoils. We didn't do that. Now, in Iraq years ago, I was a civilian, but I got a lot of publicity for whatever the hell reason. And I said, don't go into Iraq, don't go into Iraq, don't go into Iraq. But if you're going to go in, keep the oil. Well, they went in, and they didn't keep the oil. Yep. And Iraq now has $350
It wasn't even really about oil.
In cash from the oil. And Iran, by us destroying Iraq, the military of Iraq, for years they fought each other, and they were equal sizes, equal everything. They were equal military partners. And for 1,000 years under different names, they would fight, a religious thing. They'd fight. They'd go 5 feet left, 5 feet right, 5 feet left, 5 feet right. Somebody would say they have gas. Somebody would say they have nuclear. Then they'd rest for a few years, and they'd fight again. But we blew the hell out of one side, Iraq. So now Iraq is a subsidiary, essentially, of Iran. Congratulations for the geniuses that got us into that mess. Because Iran essentially controls, and that was the other thing, when I was president.
Yeah, and people complain so much about Iran.
They had no money. I said to China, if you buy, they bought a lot of oil. I said, if you buy anything, but if you buy oil from Iran, we are going to do something to you. What's that? You're not going to do any business in the United States. He said, well, that's the end of buying oil from Iran. Every country was told that. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for Hezbollah. They had no money for anything. Then Biden comes in and he takes all of the sanctions off. And they go out, and now Iran has $223 billion. Congratulations. And we're the only ones for 5 hostages. We just paid $6 billion. And for electricity for Iraq, we just paid $10 billion. And think of it, Iraq has billions of dollars that we're paying for their electricity. So we were in a position, there was no terror, there was no threat, there was no nothing, and now Iran has become a big threat again. And I tell you, I see a lot of flags. A lot of flags from right out of Israel, right? That's right out of Israel. But remember, I said it a month ago, and it's a terrible thing to say.
I did not cause the COVID lab leak.
Many of the hostages
that was Victor
you're waiting for, and everybody's waiting
Wrong
for
Asian.
those hostages. Many of them are dead. Many of them are dead. And it's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing. But many of those hostages are dead. And that's why when you see these negotiations where Hamas is like not getting back, they're saying, man, we could make a good deal, but these people are no longer alive. When I saw the way they were treated, when I saw the way they were thrown into the cars and how horribly they were treated, there's no way that those hostages, and some will be alive, but many of those hostages are dead. It's a very serious, horrible thing. It would have never happened if the election weren't rigged. It would have never happened if I were your president. They would have never done it.
Good point.
Because we have so many young people here today, I want to talk about, just for a moment, about success. Do you remember I used to give talks on success before politics? Okay, that's enough. We're going to do it. I know you're on our side, but it's enough. We're going to get them home. It's a rough situation. But remember, we used to give talks on success for the learning annex and for others, and I used to do that before politics, and maybe it's one of the reasons I went in. But because, well, bringing our city back, it starts with getting the right leadership. It also involves men and women just like you. But I talk a lot about success, and I get paid money to talk about success. I would have done it for nothing. But then because of politics, and if you take a look, because of politics, I stopped doing that. But I think we're in the Bronx. We have young people, people that aspire to success. And I just wanted to know, I'm so tired of politics. Can we devote 6 minutes to success?
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Let's do it. We're an entrepreneur channel now.
So,
all right?
For all you young people, I think it's, look, I've been through tremendous. I've had great success. I've had it in entertainment. I've had it in business. I've had it in politics.
This is Jordan Belfort's speech.
I ran for office. What office did you run for president? How'd you do? I won. Actually, I won twice. We did much better the second time. So, we got millions more votes the second time. But it doesn't compare to this time. There is so much more. We had tremendous enthusiasm. When I don't call her Crooked Hillary anymore. I call her Beautiful Hillary because I took crooked and used it for Joe. I don't like using it for two people. But we had tremendous enthusiasm in 2016. We had unbelievable more enthusiasm in 2020 because we did such a good job. In fact, one of the big problems in 2016 was the wall. It was the border. I fixed it so good that I couldn't talk about it in 2020. I kept saying to my people, I want to talk about the wall. I want to talk about the great job I did on immigration. I stopped people from coming in. They said, sir, nobody cares. You already fixed it. I said, this is a terrible thing. You fix it, and you can't talk about it. But let's talk about, for the young people, just to listen for a couple of minutes, because we've been talking about politics so long I'm OD'd. You know what that means? I'm OD'd on politics. I'm OD'd on Trump. I turn on the television, Trump, 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 all different stories, Trump. They're driving us crazy. So I believe in the expression. Did you ever hear this expression? The harder you work, the luckier you get. You know who said that? A great golfer named Gary Player. He was smaller than other golfers, but he worked harder than other golfers, and he ended up with the most career wins of any golfer. He ended up with 9 majors, and he was small in stature, but big right up here. But he made that statement. It was the first time I ever heard about it. He said, "It's a funny thing happens. The harder I work, the luckier I get." That was an athlete saying that. Amazing, right? It's the first time I heard it. Probably been said by others, but it's true. I can tell you, if you didn't work really hard, there is very little chance that I would be standing here right now. Another part of success is something I learned from my father. I had a wonderful father, wonderful parents. I'm lucky. You got to be lucky. Got to get great parents. If you're going to spend your life working really hard, you have to love it. You have to pick something that you really enjoy. Sometimes your parents will say, don't do that. But you got to, a little bit, in that case, you got to follow your own way. You got to love it. Ideally, you're going to love something where there's a potential, because there are some things you love, but it's not going to do you so good. So ideally, fall in love with something that's good. Some people go into a business where it's a very hard business. If you can go into a business that's an easier business and do well. But I see it all the time. Somebody has every ingredient for success, smart, brilliant, everything's good. But they're in a business where you hit your head on the wall. It's a very tough business. Try finding something where it's a great business with a great future, and there are plenty of them out there. My father taught me about construction, but what I really learned from him was that he worked 7 days a week because he really loved to do it. I mean, he would work on Sunday, he'd go to church in the morning, and then he'd go and work. And I know some people that don't believe in working on Sunday. You couldn't keep him away from work. But he loved working, and he was happy. He was married for a long time. That's one thing I'm not going to top him on. He was married. He was married for a long time, decades and decades. I said, Pop, I'm not going to beat you on that one. Never going to beat you. But because his work made him happy, but he was happy when he worked, and he was successful, and he knew what he was doing. He'd build a house on one side of the street. Somebody else would build a house on the other side of the street. And he'd build his house faster, better, cheaper, and he'd sell it for less money. The other guy would build the house for more money, take him longer, couldn't sell it. My father would go buy the house for less money than it cost him to build the first one, and he'd sell it. And in the old days, a long time ago, his brother was a professor at MIT. My father worked. He was a little younger than my father. My father put him to school. He went to MIT, a very brilliant guy, Professor John Trump, the longest-serving professor in the history of MIT, 41 years, I believe, Dr. John Trump. My father used to tell me I used to go crazy. Your uncle was always getting degrees. I had to keep building for your uncle to get him through college.
John Willer's
he was always up there getting degrees. But he was at MIT for 41 years, a brilliant guy. He used to talk to me about nuclear because he was a nuclear genius, along with a genius at about everything else. And he used to say that someday there'll be a time when a small package carried by hand can blow up an entire city. And I said, no way, Uncle John, that's never going to happen, Uncle John. Guess what? He was right a long time ago that he said it. But my father would price a house. And I'd say, how did you price in those days, Dad? He said, pricing was everything. He said, I'd sell a house for $3,999.99. And that 1 penny made the difference between selling it and not. 1 penny. If I made it $4,000, I wouldn't sell. But psychologically, $3,999.99. And he sold houses. And guys wouldn't sell them. But he used to tell me that 1 penny, sounds crazy, but it wasn't crazy. Psychologically, people thought they were buying it for $3,000, not $4,000. It's sort of like getting an 89 on a test in school, or a 90. A 90's an A, and an 89, 1 point, is a B+. Another lesson: when times are tough, sometimes that's when you perform the best. You have to learn that about yourself. You have to learn it about yourself. Are you okay? Are you guys okay? Oh, Okay, take your time. Yeah, take your time. Doctor, any doctor, please? Doctor in the house. Thank you. Are you okay? You take your time, darling. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess someone fainted or something. I don't know. It's probably pretty humid.
Take your time.
They're going to cut this up and say, watch, Harry Sisson's going to post like, Trump froze on stage, didn't know what to do.
Take your time, Doc. We have time.
How dare he be classy for someone
waited
who's
here for 2 days. It's
fainting.
Tough. It's tough. Thank you. Plenty of time. That's good. Water.
Are they cheering at him drinking water?
She okay?
Yeah, Biden wouldn't stop his speech for anybody, that's true.
She doing all right? She doing okay? Thank you, Pat. Plenty of time. Okay? You okay? Thank you. Doctor, thank you very much, doctors. Got a lot of doctors in the house. Thank you very much. Thank you, darling. That's great. That's great. Great job. People do a fantastic job here. But it's hot, and it's been a long wait, right? Long wait. Thank you very much, Doctor. Appreciate it. Thank you. I know she's going to be okay because she's so tough. Some of the greatest days of my business career were in the toughest times, but I enjoyed waking up every single morning and go to battle. A lot of people say to me today, the toughest business people that you know about, could I ask you a question?
Biden wouldn't remember he was giving a speech.
I say, do what? How do you get up in the morning and put your pants on? Why do you put the pants on? I'll explain it to you someday. How do you do it? How do you get up? How do you do it? How can you want to do with what you do? They're after you. They're after you. These horrible human beings are after you all the time. Impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, lawsuits all over. And they're doing it to injure the political opponent of an incompetent candidate because he can't run fairly and squarely. And I say, you know what I do? I just do it. I put on the blinders. I say, I just do it. We do it. And the other question they ask me is, will it happen again? And we have to make it too big to rig. We got a lot of great people watching. We have to make it too big to rig. But one of the things you need in success is momentum. You need momentum. You got to have, and when you have that momentum going, there's nothing that can stop you. And I tell the story of Bill Levitt. Bill Levitt was a great real estate man, great. Levitt towns all over the country. One of the most successful real estate people at a certain age ever. And he built these massive towns that were, you know, there was nothing like him at the time. And very successful. And he was offered a lot of money to sell to a big public company. And he decided to take it. He was a young man. He was in his 40s. And he said, darling, I'm going to take it. Told his wife, I want to take the money. And for 20 years, he went out. He bought a yacht. He lived a beautiful life.
And he didn't know what to do with it.
South of France. He lived, but he got bored. And 22 years later, He said, I want to make a comeback. I can't stand this life anymore. I want to make a comeback. And he went to the company that he sold to, a big public company that did very poorly. They had no idea what they were doing. You know, he used to, by the way, he used to pick up every nail, every piece of wood, he used to sell the sawdust, everything. He would say every penny was a major event. And now you had this big public company. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. So he went back and he made him an offer. They didn't want to sell, and he paid a little more. And he ended up buying it for an okay price. And he was so happy. He said, now I can go back to work. And he went back, and everything he touched turned bad. The market turned on him. The jobs turned on him. He was no longer able to get zoning. He was spending a fortune. He had just purchased it for a lot of money. And he ended up going bankrupt. He was bankrupt. And I was young when I met him. And I was at the party of a very big person, big public company person. And Bill Levitt was there. And I was in the real estate business, so I knew who he was. And you probably indirectly know who. And everybody was shunning him a little bit. Nobody cared about him anymore. But I did, and I went over to him, and I say, hi, Mr. Levitt, I'm Donald Trump. I know it. I was doing great. I was sort of like a hot guy. I was hot as a pistol. I think I was hotter than I am now, and I became president, okay? I don't know. I said to somebody, was I hotter before or hotter now? I don't know. Who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? Who the hell cares, right? But he knew who I was, and I went up. I said, so, are you okay? And he said, I'm not really okay. I made a mistake that I'll never forget. And he was, by this time, a pretty old guy. And he was sitting in the corner of this magnificent Fifth Avenue apartment where there were 25 very successful people. But I wanted to talk to him. I wanted to find out what happened, because he lost everything. Everybody knew it. It's very public. And I said, what happened exactly? What happened? He said, son, I lost my momentum. I had something going that couldn't be stopped. And I should have just stayed. I lost my momentum. Yep. And I've never forgotten the term. If you lose your momentum, you got to figure it out. But Bill Levitt lost his momentum, and he died penniless. And he was the biggest real estate person on the planet. And I've never forgotten that story. It was a sad story. He was a good man, too. I thought he was a good man, but did an unbelievable job. Today, you have Levittowns all over the country, and pretty amazing. But you have to always keep moving forward. And when it's your time, you have to know it's your time. And I said to myself, in terms of politics, I said, you know what? We did so well in number one. We did even better in number two. I said, we got to do it again, because you have to do it. Maybe I'm wrong. And I'm not doing it for myself. I'm doing it to make America great again. You know,
so true.
If I didn't think we easily won, I would never do this. Because you know what? In many ways, it's easier. You have a winner, you have a loser. It's okay. I won once. It was a big upset, I guess. I don't know why it was an upset. Because I'd go and I'd have 50,000 people at a rally. She'd go and have 200 people. And then they say, why did I win Michigan? Why did I win Pennsylvania? Why did I win all these states that a Republican hadn't won in many years? Why? And by the way, we're up in Pennsylvania, we're up in Michigan, we're up in New Hampshire today. We're up in Florida at numbers that you wouldn't even believe. But I also think it's very important to know what you want. You have to set your sights high. Set your sights so high, higher than you ever thought possible, and make your goals big and go after it. That's why I say we won't just make New York a little better. I say we want to make New York a lot better, better than it ever was before, right? And finally, you have to take pride in your accomplishments. Do not take for granted what you've achieved. Forget it. It's over. It's good for your confidence, but it's over. Go forward. Think to the future, not to the past, but learn from the past. You know, wherever I go, I know that if I could build a skyscraper in Manhattan, I could do anything. It's very tough. Building a 68-story building on Fifth Avenue is hard. With all you have to deal with, I mean, you have unions, you have legal entanglements, property rights, zoning. You're dealing with the smartest and toughest contractors in the world. These are killers. Many of you are here today. Thank you very much. But by comparison, talking to world leaders, I believe, is easier. And I've done them both. Talking to a world leader, if you're smart, You know, you have the United States behind
I
you.
believe
now, the
that.
country's not the same, but it'll be better and stronger and bigger in a very short period of time. You know, we have so many different things we could discuss having to do with the Republican Party. But the biggest thing, I think, and I really mean this, and it's happening more and more, and I see it all the time, because really you have to be the party of common sense as opposed to the Democrat Party. It's a party of failure, extremism, and gross incompetence, and that's what it is. And they're going to destroy our country. But our country has faced down much harder challenges before and come back stronger than ever. That's why I so firmly believe that we can quickly make America a great and glorious nation again. When I take office, we are going to restore public safety and the rule of law in New York City. That starts with stopping the pouring into our country of millions and millions of illegal immigrants, which are causing a new category of violence called migrant crime. We have a migrant crime happening now. You add that to the crime already. A terrible statistic. Venezuela was a very crime-ridden country. They just announced a month ago 67, but now they just announced 72% reduction in crime in Venezuela.
Yeah, wonder why.
In Caracas,
wonder why.
They took their gang members, they took their drug dealers, they are emptying out their prisons. They're taking everybody that's a problem and they're dumping them into the United States of America. We're like a dumping ground.
True story, by the way.
Many countries are doing that. I would say eventually all countries would be doing that. If I headed up Honduras, if I headed up any one of the countries that are neighboring or not neighboring, and we're not talking about just South America countries. We're talking about countries from Africa. The other day, 22, think of it, 22 people from the Congo. Where do you live? We came from jail. What did you do in jail? We don't want to tell you. They're now living happily. They come from Africa. They come from Asia. They come from all over the world. They come from the Middle East. Yemen. We're bombing Yemen. Here we go with the bombs again. We're bombing Yemen. And people are coming in from Yemen. Large numbers of people are coming in from China. And if you look at these people, did you see them? They are physically fit. They're 19 to 25. Almost everyone is a male. And they look like fighting age. I think they're building an army. They had 29,000 people over the last... I think they're building, they want to get us from within.
Yeah.
I think they're building an army. This is not, you know, it's interesting. Did you see them? They all have tents. They all have gas-fired stoves. I mean, this is not like an illegal immigrant. This is, they're building something. They have something in mind. Mm-hmm. We're going to end all of that stuff. They respected your president. They respected our country. And we're not going to let people, we are not going to let these people come in and take our city away from us and take our country away from us. It's not going to happen. Now, who would let people, seriously, who would let people come from prisons and jails, from mental institutions? They cannot stay. We will immediately begin the largest criminal deportation operation in our country's history because this situation is sustainable by no country. No country can sustain this. As we speak, there are hundreds of thousands of Biden migrants invading our city and our country. We no longer have border states like Texas and Arizona. All states, including New York, are a border state. The people are pouring through Texas. They're pouring through Arizona. They're pouring through every state. Every state is now a border state. Every state is now, we're talking about, in my opinion, 16 to 17 million people. And these are not necessarily people that are going to help us as a country. We want to be nice. We want to be respectful. They're coming from so many places we don't have any idea. In many cases, we don't even know what the language. You know, you have languages that people don't even know about. We have languages where there's nobody in our country that speaks these languages. They're coming from places we have no idea what's happening with our country. The flood of migrants is putting crippling burdens on our communities, your schools, hospitals, parks, and public resources. Frankly, we're lucky to get this big park. I don't know how the hell we did it. It must be New York's finest. I don't know how we did it. They call it the Biden migrant invasion, and it's wrong. It's immoral. And the vast majority of New Yorkers agree with me that this is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. We must stop it. We must stop it immediately. And, you know, for the people coming up, it's also unacceptable. They come up in what's called caravans. The women are treated horribly. They're being raped at levels that nobody's ever seen before. Nobody wants to talk about it. The fake news will report that, oh, it's so terrible what he said. But it's fact. It's fact. The people are being treated. They're coming up in 100 degrees, and then it's freezing. They're coming through snake-infested areas. It's a hell of a journey, and so many people are dying coming up. If we told them, please do not come up, you're not going to come in, like I was telling them for a long period of time, they wouldn't come. They're being offered. Look at California Governor Newsom. Governor Newsom. He offers education. He offers medical care. He offers pensions. He offers everything. He'll even give them an electric car because they're all over the place. How about the electric mandate? You like the all-electric mandate? Not too much, huh? Does anybody like a car that doesn't go very far? Costs a lot. In Brooklyn, American students at James Madison High School were recently told they had to stay at home from school so their classrooms could be turned into housing for thousands of migrants. Very simply, Joe Biden puts illegal aliens first. I put America first. I put America first. Would anybody, now this is up to you, has anybody heard the snake? Would anybody like to hear the snake?
No, it's very true.
Here all night, I don't care. Would you like to hear the snake?
It applies completely
so it's a metaphor. It's an old song, and it was
our current situation.
It didn't have anything to do with snakes or people or illegal immigration, but this has to do with illegal immigration. And I think it's very accurate, actually, and it's very sad. But I'll go and we'll do it, and some of you have heard it, and many of you haven't. But we're going to do it right now for the great people of the Bronx and elsewhere. We love the Bronx. We love the Bronx. Are you ready? On her work, and you know what? You know what this is all about, right? Did you know? You've heard this before? Have you heard it? We got the greatest people here. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor half-frozen snake. His pretty colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. Poor thing, he said, I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you. Take me in, oh tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, oh tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. She wrapped him up all cozy in a comforter of silk and laid him by the fireside with some honey and some milk. She hurried home from work that night, and soon as she arrived, she found the pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived. Take me in, oh tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, oh tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. She clutched him to her bosom. You're so beautiful, she cried. But if I hadn't brought you in by now, you truly would have died. She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed and held him tight. But instead of saying thank you, ma'am, the snake gave her a vicious bite. Take me in, oh tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, oh tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. I saved you, cried the woman, and you've bitten me, but why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die. Shut up, silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in.
It's true.
Right? So when we
The
allow
southern border
people
summarized
from prisons,
perfectly.
when we allow people from insane asylums and mental institutions,
Exactly.
which are being emptied out all over the world, you know, their prison populations are going way down. You know why? Because they're being dumped into the United States. When we are allowing terrorists at numbers that we've never seen before, remember the snake. Remember the snake. Because you're going to get bitten like you never got bitten before, and you need a new president, and you have to get rid of this person who is not a smart person, not a respected person, and doesn't have a clue what the hell is happening. So that's the snake. Did you enjoy the snake? On day one, I will seal the border and I will stop the invasion of our country. Very sadly, in recent years, we have also seen our city destroyed by bad, radical left, pro-crime policy that virtually everyone, Republican, Democrat, Independent, everyone, you all know it's a disaster. You know the names of these lunatic policies. No cash bail. Somebody kills somebody. Go out. No bail. Don't worry. Go out and kill a couple of more people. Defund our great police. Defund the police. Sanctuary cities. Release violent repeat offenders from jail. Joe Biden supports all of this insanity and much more, but millions of people across New York know it's crazy. There is no way when you watch this guy get off an airplane, he doesn't even have to talk. When he falls out of a helicopter, he's got 3 little stairs. It's not that hard. You got 2 railings. You don't fall out of helicopters. You don't fall upstairs. He falls up. He has more trouble going up than he does coming down. That's a little sick. But you're just not going to vote for him. You just not. We got to win. If we just win the state, it just puts it right. It's such a big state. It puts it to bed. You're going to have a president and people, but you're going to have a president that understands what we have to do. We have to be nice about it, but we have to do things, and we're going to be done. And the world is going to respect us again. We were never so respected as we were 4 years ago. President Xi of China, Putin, Viktor Orban, did you ever hear of him? Prime Minister of Hungary. Very tough guy, known as a strong man. Oh, they hate it when I talk about him because they say he's a strong man. Trump loves strong men. I don't know. I like weak men, actually. I like weak men. I'd much rather have a weak man than a strong man. But he is a strong man. And they asked him, why is it that the whole world is blowing up? He said, one simple reason: Trump is not president in the United States. He said, you put Trump back as president and the whole world is going to get better, because they were afraid of Trump. They couldn't figure Trump out. Trump was a rather difficult person, but he used the word afraid. I don't use it. I don't use afraid. I use the word respect. They respected your president. They respected the United States of America. And they're going to do it again, and it's going to happen fast. But we have to get this absolute disaster. The worst president in history. He makes Jimmy Carter look like he had a brilliant administration. The only thing, the only happy person about Joe Biden is Jimmy Carter, because Jimmy looks brilliant by comparison. I also want to thank New York's finest. I grew up with them. I know them. I love them. I love our firemen. I love our teachers. These are incredible people, and we have to bring the word respect and honor back to them, right where it belongs. A few weeks ago, I visited with a grieving family, New York police officer Jonathan Diller. What a beautiful family. He was a beautiful person. He was 31 years old, gunned down during a traffic stop by a vicious thug. And just horrible, leaving his beautiful young wife behind, a son, Ryan, behind, 1-year-old son. And it was the saddest day. It was a horrible thing. Opened the door and just started shooting him. The criminal charge was savagely murdering Officer Dillon, was previously arrested by the NYPD 21 times. And he was allowed to go out because of the political things they do here.
Insanity.
I'm the only one they want to keep. If I ever said, I want no bail, they'd say, you got to pay a fortune. If I ever say, oh, no cash bail, that sounds good. That sounds good.
Where was Trump's no cash bail?
I'm the only one it doesn't apply to, probably. And the accomplice driving the car had been arrested 14 times and was actually a far more violent person. And his nickname was Killer. They called him Killer. These dangerous and violent repeat offenders should never have been on our streets. Jonathan should be alive today, but they were released again and again and again. I will not sit by and accept this reckless insanity when I am in the White House. I will stand up to the Marxist DAs and Soros prosecutors, and we will tell them no more. We're not going to stand for it. We will not let them destroy our communities. We will not let them destroy our country. There's a 53% increase in felony assaults on your subways. 53%. That's in a short period of time. Since 2019, murders are up more than 20%. Shootings are up more than 30%. I'm going to indemnify all police officers and law enforcement officials throughout the United States to protect them from being destroyed by the radical left for taking strong actions on crime. And remember, Black, Hispanic, Asian people need this protection and safety more than anyone else. Don't ever forget it. And after years of talk by the radical left Democrats, we are going to give them the protection they need, and we're going to protect our police. We're going to make sure they do a great job. They can do it very quickly. They know who the bad guys are. They know everything about them. They know their name. They know their middle initial. We're going to insist that if a violent criminal murders a police officer, they receive the death penalty. It's going to be quick. And I also want to work with your mayor and your governor, happen to be Democrats, to clean up the homeless encampments so that you can once again enjoy your parks and your public spaces. Right now, you don't have public spaces. They're occupied by migrants in tents. Pleasures as simple as a walk in the park or watching your children again play in a Little League game will come roaring back, and they're going to come back very quickly. Your lifestyle and the American dream will be with you once again, and we're going to bring it back, the American dream. You don't have an American dream right now.
Real.
You will be proud, and your children and your country will be even prouder of you. Years ago, people with severe mental illness were in mental institutions, and then a certain governor, I won't mention the name because at this point, what difference? They dumped all of them into the streets because they said those institutions were too expensive to run. So now they live on our streets, and that's what we have. This is no good for anybody. It's bad for the people who need help, and it's bad for the people of our city, and it's a horrible, horrible way to live. I want to work in partnership with your local leaders, Democrats, pretty much all, and move the severely mentally ill off your streets and back into a place where they can get help, and the help that they desperately need. I want to recognize,
reopen
by the
the
way,
institutions.
a few very special people. You have some really great people here, and I'm sorry I can't mention we have congressmen all over the place, but I just can't mention you today. You're never going to speak to me, but would anybody like to hear these congressmen's names on it? But I do have to mention a few people. We're truly honored to be joined by a man who is a Democrat and a former member of the New York City Council, and he's been a friend of mine, and he helped me very much with the Ferry Point project and getting it working, and did a really good job. Ruben Diaz Sr. Come on up, Ruben.
A Democrat?
Good.
What the?
Good.
Oh, this guy.
Thank you.
I saw this guy in the beginning. He was,
Mr. President, I am a Puerto Rican, a black Puerto Rican. I used to be a state senator for 15 years. And I used to be city council member. Today I'm here for various reasons. But I want to tell you first that as a Puerto Rican, as a Hispanic, I want to apologize to you for the conduct of George Juan Merchant. As a Hispanic, I want to apologize.
Thank you. Thank you.
He's being used. He has been used to destroy you. But we know better than that. We know better than that.
real.
As a minister, president of the New York Hispanic Clergy Organization, I want to tell AOC This morning, she intended to become a prophet. And she said, even God doesn't want Trump in the Bronx because it's going to rain. Madame Prophet AOC, you have become a false prophet.
It's true. It didn't rain on Trump. Not yet.
Look at what a beautiful day. That means that not only you guys want Trump in the Bronx, because if we're going to measure that for the weather, then I would say humbly that even God wants you in the Bronx.
It never rains on the Rose Bowl or Trump. This is real.
And I want to close by saying, Mr. President, I want to join you in having the Bronx great again. Please accept this Democrat, this black Puerto Rican with a kinky hair and a broken English. Please accept my endorsement for you as a president. Thank you very much.
Beautiful job. Thank you.
We love to see it. The endorsement of the Cadillac driving pimp guy. Very cool. Very cool. Love to see it.
Thank you very much. How nice was that? I didn't expect that. Really? That was beautiful. You know, it's always dangerous to do that. You never know what's going to come out. Maybe he'll change his mind coming up, but he doesn't change his mind. That man is a winner. He's a winner and a great man. Thank you very much, Ruben. Also with us is New York native and current U.S. Congressman. He's hot as a pistol. Oh, boy, he has a future. And he's a great friend of mine, Byron Donalds. Come up, please, Byron.
Damn, Byron's tall.
Oh, wow.
What?
Mr. President,
He's taller than Trump.
there's more of them here now than when I was up about an hour and a half ago. If there's one thing we know, is that this man was one of the best presidents this country has ever had. And if there's another thing that we know, is that all of you are going to make him the 47th president of the United States.
Thank you, Byron. Great. What a good future. Here as well is rapper Chef G. Does everybody know Chef? Where is Chef G?
Who the heck is Chef G?
Come on up, fellas.
Am I out of touch? I don't even know who that is. Let me Google this guy. Chef G.
Come on up here, fellas.
I know Chief Keef. I don't know who Chef G is.
I want to get that done.
He's a rapper from Brooklyn.
President Trump. Oh, man. One thing I want to say.
All right, here's Chef G.
One thing I want to say. They always gonna whisper your accomplishments and shout your failures. Trump gonna shout the wins for all of us.
Make America great again.
Let's go. Chef G.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
I don't know who that is.
Thank you very much. That's where I like those teeth. I want to find out where you did. I got to get my teeth like that. I want that to happen to me. There's somebody with a fantastic future in the Republican Party and beyond. Gavin Wax, thank you. Young Republicans.
Oh, shout out Gavin Wax.
Wherever you are. Thank you, Gavin.
Let's go.
Adam Solis of New York, Young Republicans, who's been fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good job you're doing.
Chat, who is Chef
Madeline
G?
Brame of Blexit. Thank you, Madeline. Thank you very much. Somebody that's a real star in politics and has done an incredible job and so popular in Nassau County. The county executive, Nassau County, Bruce Blakeman. Come up, Bruce, for a second. Come up, Bruce. Where is
I want to
Bruce?
hear Lil Wayne give a speech.
We got to get
All
Bruce.
right,
Where is he?
we need Lil Wayne on the stage.
That's a long way to come up the hill with Bruce, right? Come on up, Bruce. Come on. This guy is central casting.
No, 50 Cent. 50 Cent endorses Trump too.
Politician, this is the guy I have playing. Come on.
He'll walk up on the stage like many men.
That's great.
We need this.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Both my parents were World War II veterans. Not many people can say about that.
Both? What the?
They would be shocked and appalled by what's going on in this foreign invasion from our southern border. Nassau County is not a sanctuary county, and when Donald Trump gets reelected, this will not be a sanctuary country. God bless America.
So true.
Good man. Good man. Thank you very much, guys. National Committeeman and Chairman Joe Cairo. Joe, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. And Andrew, thank you very much for being our star of the future. I heard you made a good speech. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you, everybody. We have so many people out there, but we're not.
Chef G gave the best speech.
This has been. I didn't know. I woke up. I said, I wonder, will it be hostile or will it be friendly? It was beyond friendly. It was a love fest. From the very first day that we take back the White House, I believe we are going to have the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. We're going to restore peace through strength. We're going to keep radical Islamic terrorists out of our country. We're going to protect our great seniors, and I will never let anyone touch your Medicare or your Social Security. Under the Democrat program, they will be gone. We are going to restore free speech in America. We are going to fight for your right to school choice, something you all want. And I will not allow schools to impose COVID vaccine mandates or mask mandates. We are going to get far-left Marxist lunacy out of our children's classrooms. We're going to keep men out of women's sports. And we will, once and for all, secure our elections. But all of this, saving New York and saving America, starts with telling crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in history, you're fired, like the apprentice. You're fired. Get out. You were terrible. You're destroying our country, Joe. Get out. If you want to help, you must vote. I believe that we can win New York State. We have levels of support that nobody's seen before. I mean, look at this. So register, volunteer, turn out everyone you know. Don't assume it doesn't matter just because you live in a blue city. You live in a blue city, but it's going red very, very quickly.
Yep.
We must work together as a team to win. New York has always been the home of proud patriots like you. You are proud patriots. You love this. You love this city. You love this state, and you love our country. New York was the city loved by Teddy Roosevelt, Norman Rockwell, the great Flo Ziegfeld, General Douglas MacArthur, George Gershwin, Frank Sinatra, and in baseball alone, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, Jackie Robinson, and many, many others. It's the city where workers and skilled craftsmen strode across steel beams 80 stories high to build the great Empire State Building and the Chrysler Building and all of the others. It's the city that lit up the shining lights of Broadway, that turned Times Square from a seedy, dirty, long-forgotten area into one of the greatest crossroads of light and glamour anywhere in the world. It's the city that produced generations of everyday American heroes who willingly spilled their blood and gave everything they had to make America into the greatest nation in the history of the world. Above all, this is the place that every one of us here today has been proud to call our home, our town, our city. And we are the ones who are going to make our city great again. It was hard-working patriots like you who built this city, and it is hard-working patriots, and this is something you can say it, and you can say it a million times, and you can emblazon it. It's hard-working patriots like you who are going to save our country. You are going to save our country. We're going to get out and vote like never before. We're going to make it too big to rig. Our vote is going to be too big to rig. It's the one thing they can't guard against. Working together, there is nothing we cannot do and no height we cannot achieve. Together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. We will make America great again. Thank you, Bronx. Thank you, New York. We love you. Thank you. God bless everybody. God bless you. God bless you.
All right, folks, there you have it. There was the Donald Trump speech in New York City in the South Bronx. As much as I like that song, again, it's copyright, okay? I like the new outro song. Hold on, I'm coming, and it's true. It's true. He is. But anyways, okay. That said, I'll give my thoughts here in a second. We'll read super chats and stuff for a couple minutes, and we will call it a night. But this concludes, of course, the Donald Trump speech. But feel free to stick around if you want to hear some of my thoughts, and we'll be able to share some of your thoughts through those super chats as well. So feel free to do that as we watch Donald Trump disembark. Is that the right word? I'm trying to expand my vocabulary here. Disembark the stage. Okay, let's take a look here if he can actually find the stairs. Okay, because we know his opponent notoriously incapable of that, but I'm gonna take a wild guess. He is able to find the stairs. Okay, thoughts on the speech. First of all, very high energy. Okay, and I saw someone in chat say this is 2016 vibes. I understand the thought, but let me say, I don't think, the more that I think of it, I don't think Trump's 2024 campaign is similar to 2016 vibes in this regard. I don't mean that in a negative sense. I mean that in the sense that in 2016, it was sort of like wild, raw energy, right? It was just like he's throwing stuff out there and it was awesome and he was totally unfiltered. I think that, and then 2020, there was just so much going on. There was a lot to defend against. It was constantly just trying to hold the line, whatever it is. 2024, the way I see it, it's like a freight train. It's a well-oiled machine, right? It's not the highest energy Trump, but it's the most competent Trump. He's figuratively speaking now, he's a killer. He's a doer. He knows what he's doing by this point. And when you've heard the reports of the way Trump is internally running his campaign in terms of ground game and coordination and all that stuff, and some stuff I've heard and some stuff I've read and heard from others, it's the most competent show it's ever been. And I kind of get that feeling from Trump nowadays, right? He just knows now more in the campaign context of like what he's doing and how to do it. And that's the way I see it. Again, well-oiled machine, freight train, and Joe Biden, you see him in the polls and stuff. He keeps trying to throw something at the wall. Maybe this will stick. Maybe Bidenomics will work. And they can't just stop the machine. And that's what the campaign is this time around. It's not one man. It's not Donald Trump. It's like the machine he's built in a good way. And I don't know. That's sort of the vibes I get, right? One could argue nowadays he acts more professional. He acts more presidential, whatever. You could say that's a bad thing. You miss the old Trump, whatever. But again, I think that's the theme this time around of the campaign internally. No nonsense, right? We're going to get it done. We're going to take care of business. We're in this to win this, and that's basically it. And yeah, so anyways, okay, we can turn off this screen now, I think, because it seems that Trump has indeed managed to find the stairs without being shown where the stairs were. So, okay, that said, on the topic of the speech itself, let me say this, okay? This just experience, seeing this crowd, I mean, to me, honestly, it's not shocking. As someone who grew up in a blue state, California, there are conservatives in these places, okay? Just think about the numbers. If the state's 70-30 Democrat, that means 30% are Republicans. Divide by the population there, means there's a lot of Republicans in the state, okay? New York, California, they're both big states. But even bigger than that, okay? Even bigger than that. I think there's very often a conservative tendency, because we can't stand the policies out of these places, to, have some type of hate or some type of contempt for New York or California or a place like that. And it's understandable to be frustrated with the people, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, and I think this is a point Trump kind of hit on a lot during the speech itself, New York is America, right? You ask a person in a foreign country, what's the first place that comes to mind when you think of the United States? It's someone in Spain, France, Italy, China, whatever you want to say. First place is going to say New York City, maybe Los Angeles, maybe, I don't know, Vegas, Miami, but really, most likely, it's New York, right? That is the most iconic city in this country. That is the most iconic place in this country. And when you really think about it, ultimately, I'm not selling you some type of dream that, hey, the Republicans are going to win New York statewide or anything like that. But I think it's wrongful attribution, I guess, to claim that those places aren't part of our country or sort of have contempt. It's no, I want to see New York prosper, right? I want to see New York do well. And I'm not saying even if just to win it, obviously you're not going to win New York likely as a Republican, but I think as a national party, we can't just forget that conservatives and Republicans and people who sympathize with us exist in a place like New York and California. And you notice the energy of that tonight in the crowd, right? The people are very grateful. Hey, Trump came to see us, and you feel their energy. You can feel the degree to which they're angry at what's going on, the craziness in the state around them. And some people would argue they should just leave. Maybe they can't leave. Maybe they have families. Maybe they genuinely love the place they live and they want to stay. We should be supportive of those people. And I think truly those people also, in a way, are an inspiration to the conservatives in the places that maybe you could say, quote unquote, matter, right? Because if you're in a red state, let's say, and it's this state's gone red for generations, who cares? I'm not even going to vote, or I'm not even going to be super involved. That's how you lose a state. Is it not? Right? Look at what happened to Arizona. I think of a border state to where I grew up, right? Arizona, growing up as a Californian, we knew that place as one of the deepest red, and by the way, it used to be one of the most Republican states in this country, right? Look at some of the laws that are still in the books there, I'll say that. Look at something like the gun laws. It is a very Republican state historically. Look what's happened to it now. What type of attitude led to that? You could argue part of it is Californian migration, and there is truth in that, but it's also partially that attitude of complacency, right? It's a red place. It's been red forever, whatever. Of course, we know about swing states. I don't have to make you a case there. But the reason I bring up these people is to say, I think the optics of this nationwide, okay, when you see Donald Trump go to a blue state where you're told constantly there's no hope, it's all liberals here, and you see the blatant opposite of that, it sends some type of message to the conservatives elsewhere. It sends energy. It sends hope. It sends passion, I should say. And I think that New York energy you saw tonight, the energy you saw a couple weeks ago in New Jersey, in some ways it's contagious. And there's something different about it. You go to a rally in Pennsylvania, high energy. Rally in Texas or Florida, high energy. That's expected. The unexpected, quote unquote, of seeing something like this, I think Trump should do it, honestly, maybe once a month, all the way until the election. He hit New York. I still think he should do one in Manhattan. Maybe visit Virginia. That's a state that is probably even more in reach than New York, because Glenn Youngkin did win there in 2021. I would say it's not likely, but it's possible. Maybe like a 20% chance it's possible you could make a play for Virginia. Go and visit there, right? Go and visit the people there who, maybe are demoralized, or hey, maybe Glenn Youngkin won. They're starting to have hope because he turned out to be a decent governor of that state. I don't know. I would say do that. Maybe visit California if you want. It's a little far from everything else. At least New York is in the Philadelphia media market, which, hey, Pennsylvania, maybe you want to do that. But still, Arizona media market, that's another thing to consider, right? So, yeah, but that's just my thoughts overall is I like this. I like it. And, as a lifelong blue state conservative who's not anymore, but I grew up around blue state conservatives, look, we're fun too. Okay, as you can see, they bring a lot of the energy too. In some cases, they bring more energy than the red state ones because the red state ones are used to winning. The blue state ones, we have that fire in our belly. I don't know how else to say it. Okay, but yeah, just some of my thoughts there. Yeah, so here we are, folks. We are less than 6 months now away from the election, and make sure you're involved in all that. But I don't have much else to say on this front, and I do have to go soon. So let's see if there's any super chats, and I'll read some of the live chat because I do want to hear from you guys. It's been a long time since we have been live for sure. So I guess let's first of all read the super chats we missed during the stream, and then during the speech, I should say. And if we want to have some after that, then feel free to send them in right now. But okay. All right, Sam Madsen for $2 says, Vince caused the COVID lab leak. Again, I will reiterate this. Wrong Asian. It was Victor Shi. In fact, I saw a selfie that Victor Shi posted on Twitter the other day, and I'm just gonna pull this up because it's just interesting. Okay, so like put us side by side. Who do you think caused the COVID lab leak? I mean, let's be honest. Hold on. Where's this picture? All right. It was clearly this guy. I mean, just take a look. Just take a look, chat. All right? You want to accuse me of causing COVID-19 and not him? What a photograph, by the way. Okay, here he is at UCLA. I wonder if he's the guy who, by the way, very silent as a UCLA student or graduate student or something, very silent about the Palestine protest. I'm sure that's because he knows he doesn't want to piss off the left, but he supports Biden, and all he wants to ever tell people is how great Joe Biden is. So I don't know, if anyone goes to UCLA, I doubt it, but if anyone goes to UCLA, tell me, have you seen Victor Shi? Is he known as the kid who, goes around telling everyone about Joe Biden? Because that's what I imagine in my head. He's like, good to meet you. I'm Victor Shi. Do you know about Joe Biden's policies and how great they're working? Okay, because that's all he does on Twitter. So, let me know. But you want to accuse me? No, it was clearly the my evil twin. My evil twin, I should say. Okay. Let's see what else we got here in terms of our super chats. Okay, Dirt Star Master. Yeah, Dirt Star Master donated $2, says, this will be my third time voting for Big T. Cannot wait. That's true. This will be my first time actually voting for Big T in a general election, because in the 2020 election, I was 17. I was almost 18, but I was 17. So actually was not able to vote back then. But yeah, for sure. Love to hear it. Love to hear it, Dirt Star Master. Okay. All right, let's see what else we got here in the super chats. Punch a bunch bear. Punch a bunch bear. That's not very nice. Well, that's not a very nice name. What did the Bears ever do to you? But donated $2, says Harry Sisson is clinging to his pantyhose. Funny story about Harry Sisson. I might be debating him at some point. They actually reached out. I'm not gonna violate any privacy, so I don't know if he even agreed to it or whatever. But I'll say this: I was contacted a while back by this organization saying they wanted to host a debate between us two, and the only dates they gave me were during my finals for college. So I was like, I can't do that. But I don't know. Maybe it'll happen. No promises. I don't even know if he agreed to it or they just reached out to me. But that would be interesting. I don't even know if I'm the best person to do it, because I'm not a 100% just Donald Trump guy who I mean, I support Trump, obviously, but I'm not the resident CEO of the Donald Trump kid. I don't think, at least. I think I'm known more as like the Vice kid or the, whatever. But, I would certainly do it. So it'd be interesting to see Harry Sisson in a debate or something. But okay. All right, let's see. Again, folks, feel free to send in any super chats, and we will probably go to about 8:20 here. So about 7 minutes left. Yeah, I can do math. 6 minutes left now. Feel free to do any. If not, we will end the stream. But let's read some of regular chat in the meantime. Dave the Baron said, "The man who changed everything." Yes, indeed. This right here, folks, this right here is the face of the man who changed everything. The man who caused COVID-19, caused George Floyd, allegedly, caused so much trauma just because he was obsessed with the idea of getting Joe Biden elected. Obviously, this is very true. Look at that face. Okay? Look at that face. Look at those eyes. We know in his eyes, he knows he caused COVID-19. Okay? He caused COVID-19. Angel says, "What watch are you wearing?" It is a Versace. I had to flex my Italian heritage with that one. Congratulations to Vince Fong in California. Who is Vince Fong? Is he a candidate or something? Let me see. He got elected as a California state representative over in Bakersfield. Okay, well, good for him. Good for him. I'm assuming he definitely is a Republican. He's replacing Kevin McCarthy in his seat. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe he'll be an upgrade. Who knows? Hopefully. So, yeah, he will serve out the remainder of McCarthy's term through January. And they were... Okay, so... Oh, but you know what, though, chat? He did get the Kevin McCarthy endorsement. So, I don't know. Hopefully he's good. Hopefully he just worked on the staff. He was climbing the halls of power, whatever. But something to consider. We'll see how he does in Congress. I mean, honestly, chat, it really doesn't matter because Congress doesn't do anything. Everyone's always like, oh, we want to get these America First congressmen. And I totally agree. Don't get me wrong. But, how much power does Matt Gaetz really have? Let's be real about that. So we want a full sweep, ideally, of all the rhinos. And there's 10 good congressmen and there's 80,000 bad ones. But we'll have to see how he does. I assume he'll be a party line vote, so that's good. But we'll have to see. Trump endorsed Vince Fong and vice versa. All right, well, that's good. That's good to see. Again, we'll see how he does. All right, we'll see how he does. I'm not holding against him. Oh, he got McCarthy's endorsement. I mean, it's politics, but we'll just have to see how he does. Okay, so when will I do a cage match with Victor Shi? Listen, all right. Actually, I can't say that on YouTube. Never mind. Trump VP is Tucker without a doubt. Oh yeah, definitely. That's definitely happening. Guys, I hate to break to you the news on the Trump VP, but it's going to be someone practical, most likely. Okay, I know everyone wants Vivek. People want Tucker. I would say of all the wild card candidates, maybe Tulsi is actually the most likely one because, she's a Democrat, former Democrat, moderate. But realistically, Trump's not going to choose some type of conservative superstar as the VP. It's going to be someone kind of just help carry the ticket, maybe help with a moderate vote. At least that seems like what's going to happen. I mean, he might throw something totally out of left field, but if I were to predict, it's probably going to be like Tim Scott or just someone very conventional, someone very generic. And I understand why. I know people they always want the VP to be the best person possible. Historically, you choose the VP as a practical person. Hey, who helps us with moderates? Who helps us with this electorate or that electorate? So, like I said, I truly think that's the angle Trump is headed, and it seems like that's what he's been thinking about, I don't think he wants a VP who might outshine his candidacy in itself, and people could say that's ego. I think that's pretty normal, though, actually. The VP's a secondary role. Like, you're behind the president. You're not It's not like president and co-president, right? It's vice president. They're kind of just meant to be there, kind of be quiet, maybe help you in the election, and then they're never seen again. Basically, I mean, that's really what the VP does until maybe they want to run for president in the future. So that's my prediction on who it's going to be. You can get mad at that. You can say, no way. I'm just telling you, that seems most likely to me. Yeah, maybe he picks Ramaswamy or something out of left field, but I don't see it happening, to be honest with you. I don't see it happening. I think Trump's going to do what political candidates have done forever, which is choose the practical VP that, hey, you know, maybe they'll help you win the moderate vote or whatever electorate you struggle with, essentially, right? So, but we'll have to see. Okay, I don't pretend to know who it is. I mean, you have all these people who go out and say, the Trump VP is going to be this person. I have insider sources. I've heard so much wild nonsense, okay, from a lot of pundits who really, I question their motives there. I'm not saying they're like bad people or whatever, or maybe they had faulty sources, but still, all these conservative and some liberal pundits who said, I'm hearing from insider sources, the VP is going to be, some said Nikki Haley, some said that, I forgot who even was a slam dunk deal, and it's not even, they're not even on the short list now. So who the heck knows? I don't pretend to know. And honestly, anyone outside of Trump who says they know who the VP is going to be, they don't know either. That's the truth. Okay. Don't listen to them. A lot of it's just engagement bait, and that's the truth. That's the truth. So we'll have to see. Don Jr. for VP. Yeah, that would be, can you imagine what they would say? He chooses his own son as the vice president. Trump is going to be what did Biden call him? The great MAGA king. He's a great MAGA king. He doesn't believe in democracy. Yeah, let me choose my son as the vice. You know what? They should make Barron the VP. Okay, I'm all for that. Okay, Barron Trump. Oh, he's not eligible. Who cares? They say we're anti-democracy anyway, right? Right? Okay, Barron Trump for VP, and then he will be appointed the royal emperor of America, and they will say, oh my gosh, but democracy. Can you imagine how funny that would be? That would be genuinely hilarious. Okay, Barron Trump, he's like the pharaoh, he's like the emperor who rules from childhood of the United States. Imagine it would be hilarious. It would be, libs would seethe. This is real. Real American politics for VP. Yeah, okay, I endorse that. Let's make Real American politics the VP. So, Elise Stefanik, I mean, she's definitely a possibility. Her chances don't seem as high as they were a couple months ago, but it could be her, you know? And to tell you the truth, I mean, I'm not particularly impressed by her. It's kind of just a whatever pick to me, but again, like I predicted, I think Trump's VP pick very likely is going to be someone you react to, and you don't necessarily say that you contempt, but it's kind of just, okay, you know, whatever, right? I feel like that's my reaction to a lot of these people that are likely, it seems, you know? Again, Tim Scott, whatever, right? That's sort of my reaction. Okay, whatever, sort of, you know, I don't think really he would help with the black vote, to tell you the truth. I think if anything, Donald Trump is the most popular Republican with black people in America. And I think the polls kind of show that out, by the way. But hey, maybe the suburban, moderate, independent women kind of like him because he's he comes off as a nice guy, hopeful, you know, whatever. Again, that's kind of whatever, right? I basically think the same thing about Stefanik. I don't even really understand what Stefanik's resume is or why she's considered so impressive, but she's there, okay? She's kind of just whatever, you know. Doug Burgum is a guy who a lot of people say is kind of corrupt, very liberal or whatever, but he has funny looking eyebrows. So again, I say whatever to that, you know. I don't really think he should be the VP, jokes aside, but that's an option people are floating. Byron Donalds, you know, wouldn't be bad. I don't know if he'd expand the Trump coalition a whole lot, you know, but at least he's a guy you could say, okay, if something happened to Trump, I think we'd be in decent enough hands, you know, so that's an option. Again, a lot of these picks are kind of just whatever. I know people want Vivek, and again, I wouldn't mind it. I'd say, oh, okay, well, he picked his likely successor, and that's a good thing. But realistically, folks, I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, I really don't think I really don't think that's Trump's thinking in choosing the VP, right? He wants to go for the sort of practical, moderate pick or whatever, and that's what most, again, nominees tend to do. So we'll have to see. I think if any wild card is possible, I think it's probably Tulsi, which I wouldn't say is likely to happen, but I think she kind of intrigues me, frankly, as a VP pick. And should we end on this? Okay, why I actually think Tulsi Gabbard is a decent VP pick? I first heard like Patrick Bet-David say this, and at the time I was like, that's just such a online internet take, which it is, right? It's sort of like something a lot of the MAGA internet people might like, but you kind of outside of that world, it's like, what are you thinking there? But the more you sort of think about it, here's why I say Tulsi's an interesting pick. And it's a wild card pick. It's a risky pick. That's true. It's a gamble. You're taking a gamble with her. But let's first and foremost say this. People are going to say, oh, but she's a liberal. Oh, but she's a former Democrat, even though she's changed her views. You might say you don't trust those. However, and I understand that. That's why I say it's a gamble. I mean, don't get me wrong. You're choosing a former Democrat. It's an unconventional idea, but that's exactly what it is. It's unconventional. Here's the thing. That is a valid argument that, hey, she's a former Democrat. Can we trust her? However, I would argue her politics in 2024 are significantly more solid, at least by my metric, like what I value, than Tim Scott's. 100%. Right? Because Tim Scott, politically, in a lot of ways, is a neocon. Listen to what he says about Iran and all this global crap, right? Does Tim Scott want to dismantle the administrative state? No. But on the populist issues, Tulsi Gabbard's one of the most solid potential choices. Maybe Vivek is better. Maybe Tucker would be a little better. But they're kind of in lockstep on that type of populist stuff, right? Tulsi Gabbard is against the wars. Tulsi Gabbard arguably has stood up for conservatives better than a lot of the establishment Republicans have in the past 4 years. So yes, you can use the ideological purity thing, but again, I would argue, yeah, you could say that's why you prefer Vivek over Tulsi. I get that. But if you're going to say that's why Tulsi Gabbard's better than the likely front runner at this point, Tim Scott, Tulsi Gabbard, let me just say it honestly, is more pro-MAGA. I don't know if I want to even say like conservative, because people say, like, what do you mean by conservative? Pro-MAGA and pro the Trump agenda than Tim Scott. That is a fact. Okay, so I want anyone to try to dispute that with me. That is a fact. Okay, so that out of the way. The reason I think she's interesting is because she does fulfill that criteria you try to look for if you're Donald Trump. Like, hey, you want someone who can appeal to the moderates. Okay, and again, I know a lot of conservatives will not like it because they say she's a former Democrat. Here's the thing, though. Who are you trying to reach with the VP pick? You want to expand the electorate. That's usually what people do with it. A lot of people in this country, believe it or not, I know some people live in these bubbles and they don't think they're real. A lot of people who voted for Biden in 2020 are now strongly considering voting for Trump in 2020. Okay? And I'll be honest about that. There's people in my family like that. There's people you see on TV like that, etc. My pulse is that there's actually a lot of people in this country like that. Just talk to people on the street. You feel it, right? You feel that sentiment, okay? And again, a lot of conservatives will say, oh, but she's a former Democrat. Okay. She voted for Biden in 2020. True. See where I'm going with that, though? It is a relatable story. It's a relatable story to a lot of the independent voters you might be trying to reach, okay? Because that's the first thing. When I first said, oh, Tulsi Gabbard for VP, well, yeah, she's a former Democrat, but that's kind of overrated. Like, is she really that? She's popular in conservative circles, but is she really popular without, whatever? She doesn't have like left-wing fans anymore. But the more I thought of it, I said that could be a very powerful story to reach the Biden 2020 voter who now is thinking about Trump 2024, which again is a lot of people because Biden's just been such a bad president. What better person to put up on your VP stage and say, look, I understand how you feel because I was in the same position. Here's why you should vote for Donald Trump, right? By the way, number 2, the VP debate. This is another reason I think Tulsi as a VP pick is actually pretty interesting. The VP debate. Well, remember 2020? Remember that Tulsi Gabbard single-handedly ended the Kamala Harris presidential campaign back then? She's a good debater, etc. Okay, I don't know if like Tim Scott or Doug Burgum or these other people would handle Kamala Harris the way Tulsi Gabbard does. And if you completely embarrass Kamala in the debate, that'd be a huge political win once again for the Trump campaign. So there's the two things I'm looking at, right? Is I think if you want to talk about winning over the independents, winning over the Biden 2020 voters who are now skeptical of him, Tulsi Gabbard, sorry, I had to hiccup. Tulsi Gabbard in herself, you may say, well, is that really going to work? And again, it's a gamble. But I think if she can angle the message to that, to say, I'm just like you, people, it's an interesting idea, right? And then on the substance of the issues themselves, I mean, you could argue as a pick, she doubles down on sort of Trump's populism, right? Which some people say about Trump, they miss that. They say, Trump used to be so populist and anti-establishment in 2016, and then he didn't really drain the swamp, et cetera. Well, if he chooses her over a conventional Republican, he did actually double down in that direction. By the way, another thing to think about, it might neutralize the RFK voters on the Trump side, because obviously RFK is going to pull from both Trump and Biden, right? But what type of people would, who maybe might be Trump voters, and I don't think there's a lot of them, truthfully, but potential Trump voters who might swing to RFK because they're mad over COVID or the deep state or whatever, and they think RFK is better on that. Well, by the way, Tulsi Gabbard also appeals to those type of people too, right? Because she's good on the COVID stuff, good on the administrative state. She's seen as one of those populist characters in the same way RFK is, right? So again, I know people can get mad because, why are you saying Tulsi should be the VP? I think she's an intriguing pick, guys. Genuinely. I really think she's an intriguing pick for that reason, It is what it is. I like her as a pick, honestly, if I'll be honest, more than Tim Scott, more than Burgum, more than Stefanik. Maybe even from an electability standpoint, better than Byron Donalds, because I think she can open up the Trump coalition to a lot more people than Byron. I don't think Byron adds anything to Trump other than saying, oh, I have a black guy on the ticket, you can't call me racist. But besides that, it's not really like Byron doesn't have any popularity outside of the Republican Party already, I would say, so that's the issue with that. So I don't know. There's my thoughts on it. I guess I'll close with that. I'll look at what the chat thinks really quickly, because I'm sure it'll be a contentious opinion, but that's something that Tulsi Gabbard would bring to the table. That, by the way, Vivek Ramaswamy might not, in terms of, yes, Vivek's probably better on the issues, but in terms of, again, because Trump wants to choose someone who will open up the electorate, Vivek, in theory, you hear him talk, maybe he resonates with some independents, but connotatively, he's really a guy who's associated more so with, being very firebrand, kind of quote unquote far right or already in the Trump MAGA sphere. Even if you want to argue that's unfair, it's kind of how it is. Would Vivek Ramaswamy bring out a lot of new voters? It's possible. And I think the angle with him is more so people who genuinely sit down and listen to him speak. He's very convincing. However, keep in mind, as the VP, you're not going to constantly have a chance to speak, right? The VP is a secondary role. They're not on the stage all the time. And so Vivek kind of being there, is it going to open up the electorate for Trump? I don't really think so, right? I do think Tulsi Gabbard, maybe, not saying for sure, but maybe because of that wild card factor and sort of what I laid out, could do that, right? There could be people who maybe were on the fence about Trump, more inclined to lean towards Trump because of the appeal potentially of Tulsi Gabbard. Just the point, just going to bring that up. And if you are just tuning in, I sort of laid out why earlier. Again, to reiterate, because she voted for Biden in 2020, she's a former Democrat. People say that's a bad thing. It's not a great thing. But again, if we're trying to reach the voters who are in the same exact position as her, which is a lot of Americans, see what I mean? And then the RFK people, I think it solidifies that populist side from maybe swaying towards him. Again, that's my thoughts on that. Okay. I wouldn't want Gabbard as the front runner in 2028. Well, I'm not saying she has to be or that, she's going to be. It's just, it's between her, Tim Scott, I don't want Tim Scott to be the front runner either. So, and by the way, the VP, keep this in mind. Okay. And you think back to 2016, for instance, The VP, yes, Trump's VP will start out as the front runner in the GOP primary in 28. That is true. But I'm talking about maybe in March, maybe in June of 2027, okay? As we've seen historically, if they are not a good candidate, yeah, they might have a little bit of Trump's blessing, but they can absolutely fall apart. It is no guarantee that Trump's VP, especially after the Mike Pence debacle that a lot of Republicans still remember, there's really no guarantee that, hey, whoever Trump chooses as VP is going to be the 2028 candidate. I think that's far from guaranteed. They'll start with the lead, but if there's someone unimpressive, which some of these people are, they're kind of just milquetoast, whatever, I really think that they're going to fall behind in the polls and they're going to end up not winning that primary, especially in today's Republican Party, you know? Something to think about. So, you know, just a thought. Just a thought. Let's see here. Yeah, she can flip Hawaii. But let's see here. I want to see what people think of that. I want to see what people think about that. Tulsi would destroy Harris in a VP debate. It's true. And just think about sort of the own that would be. Like, remember that chick who destroyed you in the 2020 Democrat debates? Like, you know Kamala Harris will walk into that debate terrified, right? You know how, you know, sometimes when people, like athletes or something, they lose embarrassingly and then it's in their head. It's in their head. You know immediately walking into that stage, it will already be in Kamala Harris's head, like, oh gosh, okay, like, and she'll be trying to hype herself up, like, I got this, you got her this time, you got her this time. But you already know it's going to rattle those nerves inside of her, okay? So I really think that alone is an argument to why it would be a decent VP pick, you know? So we need a successor to Trump. Who is better than a running mate who is part of that for years? Well, again, it's not a guaranteed thing still, is what I'm trying to say. You know, you could say, oh, Biden was Obama's VP. True, but Hillary ran in 2016. Who is Hillary? A cabinet member of Barack Obama's. If Vivek, who, by the way, very likely could be maybe Secretary of State, just like Hillary Clinton, I'm sure it's going to be something. But, you know, so long as, if you people want Vivek, if Vivek gets a position in the Trump White House and he's there, he's still seen, he doesn't have to be the VP. You know, it's not some type of requirement that Vivek Ramaswamy has to be the VP to be the 2028 candidate, or whoever you want, you know? So someone said Ron DeSantis as a dark horse. I mean, even someone like him, right? It's a long ways away. I think especially in today's politics, even more so than maybe back then, being VP is not a guaranteed position to be the successor. Because let's say it this way. Look at Kamala Harris, for instance. You know, let's say hypothetically, God forbid, Biden wins in 2024. And you ask Democrats, who's your successor for 2028? Are any of them saying Kamala Harris? No. They're saying Gavin Newsom, maybe Michelle Obama or someone like that. Maybe, you know, I don't know, freaking Whitmer or whoever. But no one's saying Kamala Harris, right? Because I think that old school orthodoxy, especially nowadays, has fallen apart as compared to how it used to be. It's just all I'm saying, you know, something to think about. All right, with that said, folks, I'll probably wrap up the stream here. Be sure to leave a like on the stream, folks. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's get to 400 likes before we go. And yeah, welcome back to the VinceDao live streams. I'll try to do these. I'm not going to promise once a week, okay? But we'll shoot for once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. I think the Trump rallies are a good time to do them too, especially. That's usually how it goes. The former VP runs for president. I'm not saying they're not going to run. I'm saying that nowadays, and I mean like the 2020s, I don't think that being VP is a guaranteed spot to the White House or the nomination the way it used to be. Yes, I know Bush. I know Biden, by the way, but Biden's not the best example because following Obama leaving office, Biden, A, did not run for president, and B, was not seen as the logical successor. Hillary Clinton was. They handed it to who? Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton was what? Obama's Secretary of State. Which, again, that could be Vivek Ramaswamy, right? So, you know, you want to say Bush in 88, that was the 80s. What I'm saying is I think now it's not such a guaranteed, like, free ride to the nomination as it used to be. The party's more divided now. There's more scandals in politics now. I mean, you're talking about, yes, the VP may be leading again in March or June 2027. By January, if they're not a good candidate, if they're not someone the base wants, I guarantee you right now, that person will collapse and fall apart. Look at Jeb Bush in 2016. I know he wasn't the VP. It's not a great example, but it is a great example of how someone can start off with such an enormous lead. You know, someone can be so universally seen as like the front runner, and they can totally fall apart so badly they end with 1% of the vote in the end. You know, that's what I'm saying. Modern politics is more like that than maybe politics were back then. There's more scandals. People change their minds more quickly, you know, especially after Mike Pence and Kamala. And think about Mike Pence on the Republican side, Kamala Harris also on the Democrat side. I would argue as a whole, the credibility of being someone's vice president in 2024 and especially 2028 is way less than it was in 1988. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying if Trump chooses someone as the VP you don't like, don't freak out that, oh, they have to be the successor. No, they don't have to be the successor. And I would say, especially if it's someone that's not super charismatic or interesting, I would not even favor them to be the successor. I would not even bet money on them being the successor because, again, it works a little differently now. That's what I'm saying. Okay, with that said, folks, be sure to leave a like on this stream. We'll see you guys soon. Have a happy Memorial Day weekend and all of that, which is this weekend, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, and peace.